as we get cranked up here on a Tuesday. A lot of stuff going on in the news today. Pretty busy day, not just DC stuff. We got some local stuff, got some things here back home to deal with. And I'm going to start with some of the freshest material. One of those is a federal court has just upheld a ban on, has just upheld a ban on transgenders in the military. I get so confused. There's so many. The way the sequence has gone with Trump in office is you get a policy initiative that Trump puts into place, like a transgender ban. Then you get a federal suit, maybe multiple suits about the same issue in different district courts. The left will judge shop over these cases. And then, of course, you'll get, if you get an activist judge, they'll rule on their politics and try to stop Trump temporarily. You have a district judge that tries to put in a nationwide ban. And then ultimately that gets appealed. And we've got so many of these flying around. In my mind, I thought we'd already had this. I thought we'd already had this ban lifted. I didn't know that was even still a question, but it's good for morale in the military. It's good for everything about what we're trying to do with the military. The military is not a social experiment. I hope one day we look back on history at the stupidity of this transgender issue, which seemed to magically appear out of nowhere a few years ago as a major social debate. I'm not saying that transgenders just appear. I think that's been a phenomenon. Gender dysphoria is actually a legitimate psychological condition that some people feel conflicted psychologically over their disposition. And but it's not a major social issue of our time, and you can't expect all of society to change all the rules of the English language and how we accommodate the sexes and how we compete in our sports over this issue. And certainly not the United States military. That is a place where you have to have both psychological and physical standards that promote the best of the best. It's a dangerous world. And the thing is, as far as recruitment and retention, those are two issues that are on twin tracks. Been able to get strong young men and women to sign up of all backgrounds from all over the country. And then, of course, to retain them, to get them on a track where they stay with the United States military after you've invested the training. You can't keep doing things to just screw with morale, but that's what the previous administrations have been doing. And now there's sanity back. And what has that done? Despite the attempts on the American left to separate the commander in chief from our actual troops and the people that have signed up and put their lives on the line, you've got incredible cohesion. Morale is up. Esprit de corps, as some people refer to it. Recruitment is through the roof. We were having major recruitment problems. It seems as if, and I don't have data on this, but it seems as if accidents are down. We were having a myriad of airplane and boat accidents throughout the military because you took a noisy situation that was completely unnecessary in the world of defense of this nation and threw it in there like a stink bomb, and it had no place in there. The United States military is not a petri dish for social justice. And so at least this ruling went in favor of continuing the rebuilding and the re-strengthening of the military. If we're going to have an agenda, this plays out with our Secretary of State and all of our international policy. If we've got an agenda of peace through strength, well, you better be showing some strength. And you can't have hairy-legged dudes walking around in pencil skirts in the Pentagon giving orders to real guys who are trying to keep their morale up and keep their reason for being in the military intact. So good. How you doing, AJ? Thought I'd start with some heavy transgender stuff today.
I'm too blessed to be depressed, but I'm good.
Speaking of transgender stuff, can we just stay with this for a minute? 'Cause this goes back to the Netflix deal, okay? So Netflix, I've been watching this from a distance because it's a lot of things. It's a censorship, social engineering, mega business, monopoly angles. There's so many angles, political angles to Netflix trying to buy out Warner Brothers and create this mega entertainment company. As we went over yesterday, Paramount has come along to give a counteroffer. They're trying to make a hostile cash takeover of this Warner Brothers entity, this empire. And Netflix is trying to get dominance. So there's a real battle for that dominance going on right now. So some people wonder, well, why are people, particularly people on the right, to the center and to the right, so opposed to Netflix becoming a gigantic gorilla? Well, I mean, we've talked about it for years. It's their programming and the way they handle their company. They're just not to be trusted. These people are social engineers. It's like if the CIA could invent a media company, and a lot of people believe they do. They have a lot of influence over Hollywood and Hollywood scripts. They would create Netflix just to try to keep us at each other over stupid stuff like the transgender issue. Now, I say all this to set up this next story, which made me laugh so hard. I almost blew a snot bubble this morning laughing at this. Okay, let me set it up really well as best I can at the beginning of the show. First up, I believe the transgender issue was something that was injected into our society in about the year 2013, around 2014, during the Obama administration for the purposes of social division. It is part of the overall globalist strategy to keep us at each other any way they can. You've got to keep dissension going in a population that you're trying to dominate. The other issue, of course, was they put gasoline on every race fire they could fire up until they created the BLM movement and all the fraud that came along with that. But the other was sexual identity. I mean, it's been the weirdest incendiary thing that the stench of which just keeps hanging around. Now, some of that was promoted by these big giant companies like Netflix. You're not going to believe their new movie that they're promoting. This is their big premiere thing. It's not just Stranger Things, because that's gotten a lot of attention. And I'll be honest, I'm waiting on some people around me to catch up so I can watch season 5, because I did like that show back in the day. You know, it appeared before a lot of this major stuff really was kicking in. So here's Netflix, and here is their new product. This is their new plot. Hallmark would never even come up with this. It's called Queen of Coal. Have you heard about this, AJ?
Queen of Coal.
Queen of Coal. I saw a advertisement for it, and I saw this woman's face, and she's got a little hard hat on, and she's got a dirty face, and I'm like, okay, they're doing a story about coal miners. Oh, no, friends. This is Netflix. Here's what it's about, apparently. A transgender dude decided to become a woman, and he is fighting to keep his job in the coal mines. I'm trying to keep it together. I'm a professional. I can do this. Only Netflix could come up with a transgender coal miner movie. I think the plot goes, I'm not 100% on it, and I don't want to spoil it for all of you who are dying to see this. But apparently there's a tragedy in the mines, and only this woman who's fighting for all women's rights to be coal miners, but she's not really a woman, she's a dude, is the person that needs to go in and save the people that are trapped. It's like, we don't want no women up in this mine. This is a man's work. Even though the men who would be defending man's work clearly know they'd be talking to a man who thinks he's a woman. Are y'all confused yet? And then when tragedy strikes, now we need Super Tranny with coal dust on his face, pretending to be a woman who wants to work in a man's world. AJ, I could have simplified this plot.
Mm-hmm.
He could have just stayed a man and kept his job in the coal mine.
I mean, pretty much.
It's like, if you really want to be a woman, go do a woman's job somewhere, whatever that might be. I don't know what we consider women's work anymore. Because I've been to Starbucks, and some of those dudes are just as feminine as the feminine. I don't know, man. I know none of them would hack it in a coal mine. I'll just put it that way. So coal miners enjoy. It's a rich history in our country. We've got songs written about it, whole genres of music written about going down in the mines. A lot of the bluegrass music, down in the mines. Coal miner's daughter. I could keep going. It's an industry which traces its roots all the way here to Alabama. It's what led eventually to the Magic City itself. Iron ore coming out of the ground. And now we've thrown transgenders in the mix. Good going, Netflix. That's why people are freaked out about this deal of them being able to have carte blanche ability with little competition to go at stupid storylines like this and keep social engineering, even fictional plots. It's a fictional plot. I get it. It's a fictional plot, but come on, man. So there's that. There's some things to get started with so far on this Tuesday. 545-9950 is the phone number if y'all want to get in on the show. Here we sit, ready to take your phone calls, and we'll throw you in here. I think Trump's got some live stuff going on today. I'm not 100% sure about that. I believe it's related around the economy, and we'll get to that as we can. If y'all have seen Queen of the Coal Mines, or whatever it's called, I'd love to know your take on it. Michelson Laser Vision bringing you the show tonight. First up here with our sponsors, I do appreciate Dr. Mark, Dr. Jennifer, and that whole team for year after year helping this audience, including me, to see better. It's been amazing being 2015. I'm in my 7th year now of being able to see so clearly, and I just love not even having to think about my glasses or contacts or bringing backups, especially when I travel or do active stuff. I remember always being paranoid I was going to lose a contact and then I can't quite see. Like, especially back when I rode motorcycles, wind gets in your face, or boating or swimming or travel, you got to bring all this stuff. Will the airlines let you bring all this on or not? All this, that's out of your life the minute you get LASIK. It worked beautifully for me, and as I've told you over and over again, they've now made it even more affordable and more doable. It's LASIK, especially with the contour procedure. It's the latest version or iteration of a laser, the latest laser generation, and it does things and precisely can correct things that couldn't be done before. And I think the miracle of LASIK's gotten even more miraculous with this new technology. And you can leave it up to Michelson to have it online, and they've had it online for 2 or 3 years now. They were the first to do so here in Alabama. Michelson Laser Vision, the only place I would take you. Get to know them, at least do the consult and see if you're a candidate. Because if you're not, you're not, and I get that. But if you are, amazing. MichelsonLaserVision.com. Yeah, that's right. 220, Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Let's go. Lonnie's Furniture Company bringing you the show tonight. LAUNIUS, Lonnie'sFurnitureCompany.com. Y'all, this is such a wonderful place to go furniture shopping. I'm not a big shopper. I had to go to the Summit today. AJ, I was having a chill morning. I worked on technical issues, things that normally frustrate me.
Yeah.
I was happy as a clam. So I parked in that place because I forget that it's Christmas shopping season. It's a madhouse. I hate shopping for almost anything.
Yeah.
And furniture shopping, luckily, I don't have to do it for years probably because I got my house set. But it can be a pain too, fellas. You know what I'm talking about. You have to bounce. Sometimes you got to drive 20, 30 miles in between stores trying to look at things. Then you got to maybe take a picture of what you looked at in the last store and comparison shop. And it's hard to do when you're bouncing like that. Some stores go for cheap and discount, that flimsy furniture at super cheap prices. And I get it. If you're a college kid or just starting out in life, you're going to economize. But if you want good stuff, quality stuff at the best prices that's going to last for years and be up-to-date styles all in one place, an acre of selection under one roof, it's Lonnie's. They're right there in Kimberly on I-65 in North Jefferson County, and it's more stuff than you can shake a stick at. That's an old phrase. I don't even know what that means. I want to look that up. What does that mean, you can shake a stick at?
You know what? Still to this day, I have no idea.
I got on this kick one time where I was looking up old colloquial phrases like that. Like, what does it mean, happy as a clam? I can see you can figure that one out. Or some of these phrases that we say all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
I get mad as a hornet. That makes sense to me. What does shake a stick at mean? I don't know.
I don't know. And then we can't talk to some of the old folks. I want to know who
they
came
all
over.
Did. They all did.
I want to know who came over, who said it the very first time. And then, because someone had to be like, well, what does that mean?
What's funny is I'll watch an old or read some old phrases from some old text that's 100 years old, and they're using the same phrases. It was like people have been saying this. A lot of it comes from farms. I mean, it comes from farm life because that was their daily life. It's almost like the way Jesus taught with parables. I mean, you take an example and you use that to illustrate a point, and then we lose the meaning over time because we aren't out milking chickens every day on the farm anymore.
Right.
But we still say what our grandparents said. So anyway, more furniture than you can shake a stick at. There's a little language and nomenclature in the middle of the Lonnie's promotion. But y'all go and see them if you don't have big plans this weekend. I think aren't we off from football until the championship stuff starts? Good weekend to go shopping. Weather looks nice. Lonnie's Furniture Company for the holidays or for everything else. Also, ladies, there's not a guy in the world that I know, not any red-blooded straight guy in the world that I know that doesn't like to be comfortable in his own space. In a lazy boy, for example, to have his own defined space where a brother can just take a nap and take a load off. Get him the recliner of his dreams at Lonnie's right now with great sales on everything lazy boy all over Lonnie's Furniture. Again, they're on exit 280, right on I-65, Lonnie'sFurnitureCompany.com.
I never knew the importance of having like your own like chair.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Till you got kids, right?
Till I got kids.
Yeah.
Now, like I really understand the importance of it.
Dad needs his own space, man.
And now I'm trying to. Sometimes I don't even get up to like have the discipline. I was like, hey, stop that over there. And I'm still sitting in my chair. I don't even get up.
See, I've got these two opposing couches in front of the fireplace. They kind of face each other. It's the setup I wanted. I had no idea I'd have a whole house full of kids again. And one of them, the youngest one, likes to get in my spot. I have a spot where I sit, and I sit there every day. I show prep there. I get up there. I sit down there at night. And every day and then he'll get in my spot. I'm like, get out of my spot. He goes, why? I was like, because I'll have to resort to violence. He goes, good point. And he gets up. He's so funny. Yeah, man, dude needs his space. Y'all take that in consideration as you're doing your shopping. All right, one more cultural story, and then we'll take some phone calls. We'll do whatever. It's not a super heavy news day, but we got a lot of interesting things floating around in the news today. We've got this thing with the Hangout Festival and the Sand in My Boots. And I didn't see this one coming, but for those of you that like to go to those things down in Gulf Shores, I've never been to any of them. Once did the show down at the Hangout facility, down at the place called the Hangout, during the oil spill. That was way back in 2010 when we first launched this show when the BP spill happened. The whole place was abandoned, and I went down there to cover it. And I needed a business, somebody right on the beats. They would let me broadcast, and those folks were really nice to let me just sit there for a week every single day doing the show covering the oil spill. But I've never been to the actual festival. Well, this is what's being reported today in AL.com. They're not going to do it this year. And I didn't understand the controversy from years ago, but here's the sequence of events we understand. So the Hangout was generally a pop music festival. And when I say pop music, is that an out-of-date term? Do they still call the modern stuff pop? Because I know we got genres. So, but it attracted a younger, more, what's the right word I'm looking for? Rambunctious crowd when you got hip-hop acts and these dubstep, whatever they call it now, house music, the younger stuff. And it grew and grew and grew. And then it started fading in popularity because it was there was more trouble. It's like when communities host spring break. For Gulf Shores, a city that size, it became more trouble than it was worth. The revenue to the city was not worth all the crap that happened when you get the, quote, wrong crowd, when you get a bunch of young people that are getting drunk and racing their cars up the street and people dying and whatever happens when you've got a gigantic music festival like that. So then it fell off, and they were not going to do it. I think it was last year, the year for 24, was it 25? They were not going to do it, but this Morgan Wallen, who I don't follow, I know he's from Alabama, and I know he's a huge country star. I just don't listen to that stuff. He took custody of it in a way that he said, I can get my buddies, we'll do it as a country festival, rebrand it, called it Sand in My Boots, but it's really was the same operation. It was the same footprint for the most part. They did some tweaks, but they redid the lineup. Well, according to the city officials, that went exceedingly well. This is where you get to the culture wars. The city down in Gulf Shores decided, hey, we'd rather have the country crowd. These people were polite. We'd made a lot of money. It was the biggest crowd we've seen in years, and it's not a shock to the system like some of the wilder stuff. But they didn't act in time on trying to get it renewed to get the lineups that they want. The city's demanding they stick with that format, so they're not going to do it next year. They're saying they're going to work on it for 27. But they're not going to do it for 26. So no hangout, no sand in my boots, sand in my crack, whatever they call it next time. But they're trying to stick with that country format. Is that racist? Is that culturalist? Is it ageist? Because I don't know. I suppose there's young kids of all stripes that listen to all that music. But it's just true. Different types of music attract different type crowds. And so apparently the Gulf Shores community, who has the right to do whatever they want, they don't want the wild ass crowd. They want the boot kickers. They want the sand in the boots people. But they didn't have time to get the boot crowd together, so they ain't gonna do a festival this year. Oh, Don is in. Don's on a cell phone. What's up, Don? Oh wow, yeah, yeah, right. Oh, that's sad. Because you'd have to shake a stick to get them rounded up, right? Does that make sense? There you go, Don. All right, 234 Leland Live, talking 995 Birmingham Brokers in downtown Birmingham. They're ready to help you with your car trades. If you have one for sale or trade, they're just going to broker that deal for you. And it's nice to have some real expertise that can get that vehicle out there, get it marketed for max value, get it negotiated so you don't have to deal with the indignity of hanging out with somebody haggling over your car. Some of y'all like that. I got a buddy. He's a natural born trader. He will trade you anything for anything at any given moment and haggle with you. I do not enjoy it, which is why I've enjoyed Birmingham Broker unloading my vehicles over the years and getting me top dollar so I can go get a trade done. And they'll do the same thing for you. Just a week or so ago, right before Thanksgiving, Craig was really looking for sort of high-end or nice mid-size SUVs and even some of the small SUVs. There's a surge in popularity for those. So if that's what you're driving, and a lot of people are, that thing may be worth more now than you're going to be able to. You're not going to, the days are gone when you can get on and look up one of those blue book values online. That's not real world stuff. Craig and his team know if there's a spike or a demand somewhere even outside of Birmingham, they can connect that for you, get that thing moved, get you top dollar. Totally worth it. No pressure at all. It's Birmingham Broker, bhambroker.com, downtown Birmingham. Y'all go see them just around the corner from Iron City. They're on 4th Avenue South, Birmingham Broker, bhambroker.com. All right, let me get Dexter in here. We're talking about the stick meeting, and we'll do that real quick. And then I got something else that's to me, it's hilarious that I want to move to. Dexter, what's up, buddy? Yeah. Mm. Yep. Our mothers were talented that way. They could whip you and keep moving and never miss a beat. It's funny how they could do that. Oh, yeah. Yes. No doubt. Well, I appreciate that, Dexter. Thanks for that history lesson on getting your ass whooped. Thanks, buddy. There's Dexter tonight. AJ, the problem that I think I'm going to have with the cameras in the studio are over the years, almost 16 years now of doing this with each other. You and I can make faces at each other about as the show's going along.
Yeah.
And I got to stop doing that. I can't put the metaphoric gun in my mouth when the call's going too long. I can't make an artificial noose and hang myself.
Yeah. I mean, you probably still can, depending on who the caller is.
I wonder if other shows do that. Like, we just have these, like, moments where you need to have a little stress release. We got a camera in our face.
Yeah, or like when, the caller just kind of takes too long to get to the point, you're just kind of like.
Yeah, I'm like, you go 30 seconds. It's like, how you doing? I'm good. You got 25 seconds. All right, then. I'm doing pretty good, too, man.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to call about was, why don't you just go ahead and say it instead of giving me a menu? I don't need an index of the I don't need an anatomy of the conversation. Just start talking.
Right.
And I'm not talking about Dexter. I'm just saying in general, it occurred to me that occasionally I will do such things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now, because now you gotta stay there with a straight face, or kind of with a nice little smile on your face.
Yeah.
You can't roll your eyes. You can't be like,
no, I'm gonna do it anyway. I think it'll make the feed better because there's nothing more boring than a camera on a guy sitting and talking into a microphone for no reason. But here we are.
Right.
It's the new world. Everybody's got to have a podcast. All right.
But they can also now they could actually see that how you dress now too.
Oh yeah. So I got to dress like a human being now.
I mean, you got your like Aztec jacket
I don't know.
from
This came from out west. This came
Yeah.
from
Wyoming.
Big Sky, Montana.
Montana. Yeah, you got
Yep.
that Montana look, jacket on.
It's cold outside. I don't get to wear this jacket that much.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not that cold outside.
Feels cold to me, so calm down. Cold enough for this little thing.
You just wanted to wear it. That's all.
It's true. That's what I'm saying. You wouldn't wear it in July now, would I?
I mean, hey, look, depending on how much it costs, I will wear it all year round. I don't care
that's
how
true.
hot it is.
That's true. I've seen people that do.
Yeah.
Like the kids that wear toboggans all summer. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, it's 95 degrees. I know it's a beanie and it's a fashion statement. But
Well, okay, I was.
you're
one of
making
them
me
kids.
sweat over
I
here.
was one of them kids.
You wore a beanie in the summer?
Yeah,
Like a toboggan in the
yeah.
summer?
I mean, look, I'm on the Lackland Air Force Base
Yep.
walking,
To each his own.
and I had my little beanie on. It was a trend, you know. I was like, oh, this looks cool, you know. My dad was like, boy, you better take that off. If you
Dads will
pass
tell you
out,
So people are like, why did you never get an earring or something like in the 80s when that was a thing? I was like,
Yeah.
because my dad.
well, actually,
He
my
would have
dad,
snatched it clean out of my head.
my dad actually took me and my brother to get our first ears pierced. Our ears pierced for the first
Different
time.
strokes for different
Well,
folks.
my dad has his ear pierced too. So.
Well, I mean, that's right. That's
Yeah.
different. My dad did not. He would
Yeah.
probably reach out and smack me with one of those switches. Dexter would call it. Okay, all right, so we have an ethical dilemma. This is funny to me. Frontier Airlines. I don't know much about Frontier Airlines. I do have to fly this weekend, so I dread going through the airports and doing the whole flight experience. Going to see my new grandbaby, so then this pops up today, and it got my attention a second ago. Apparently, somebody smuggled a dog onto a plane, and word got out. And so I'm just giving you this so you'll know what to listen for. So one of the flight attendants gets on the PA. The plane hasn't taken off yet. They get wind of the smuggled canine, and they ask everybody on the plane to rat out whoever it is because the plane is not going to take off until we find this dog. Take a listen to this going down. Listen to the passengers. Could y'all hear that? She goes, look, we're not taking off till we find what we're looking for. And if it's your neighbor, go ahead and snitch on them so we can get this plane out of here.
Well, first of all, one or two things. They just pulled the parent mode. It's like,
Right.
don't make me turn this plane around, right?
We will not be leaving. And they won't. I mean, you
Right.
get a disturbance. It's nothing worse than the travel in public. People just can't get on a plane, sit in your damn seat, and go to where you're going.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so somebody tried to smuggle a dog. I don't know how they figured it out. I guess it barked or farted. I don't know.
Oh,
The
no.
dog made itself known, but they couldn't find it. So then I guess somebody zipped this thing in a bag somehow.
Well, I mean, this
Which is
dog,
cruel.
the one time the dog does not bark.
Mm.
It might not be like one of them little chihuahuas. 'Cause that thing barks at every little thing.
Here's the ethical question for you, AJ.
Mm-hmm.
Do you rat out your neighbor?
Oh gosh.
Do you?
Well,
are
I would
snitches?
negotiate. I would
Yeah.
negotiate. So, can I get off first off the plane? Can I get one of them first class seats? You know, I mean, I don't think there's really first class seats on Frontier.
No, probably not. This
Yeah.
It's just all fifth class, the
Right.
whole plane. They
Can I ride
cuss
up
you
in
when
that-
you get on just to make you
Let
feel
me land the plane real quick.
humiliated. Yeah.
Let me land the plane. Let me push one of them buttons up
Yeah,
there.
yeah. What's this one do? Then I'll tell you where the dog's at.
Matter of fact, can you inflate that big inflatable slide and let me slide
I
off?
just always wanted to slide. When we get there, can we do the slide?
Yes, yes. And I get to be the only one to do it because it's this person sitting right next
Right,
to me.
because it's Fred over here with the big giant duffel bag that's moving.
Right.
It's like the cat in the box on Christmas Vacation.
I mean, this would be the one time the dog does not bark. I don't understand if it is a dog on the plane. Like, you would think the dog will be barking, be
sometimes
sniffing.
People sedate their pets and fly with them. People sedate their kids and fly with them. Which, by the way, I support if y'all bring a kid on the plane. If you want to diamond tap his ass, fine. Just go ahead and do it because I'm trying to get there too. I'm just kidding. But now I don't know what the backstory was of why they held up the plane. But somebody, obviously nowadays everybody whips their phone out and starts recording it. I, for one, absolutely will dime out somebody if they brought a dog on the plane and they're holding up a couple hundred of us trying to get somewhere by trying to get around the rules. I mean, I think there are ways you can travel with a pet of a certain size. You got to you got to let the airline know, keep it contained. Some people have these little pet carriers that are like they become your carry-on. Not airlines, all airlines will do this, but you pay a little fee and you keep your own dog under control. And it's usually for just short-term flights. And I've seen plenty of dogs on a flight. Then, of course, people try to get away with claiming this is my, emotional support animal.
Mm-hmm. That's a snake dog.
Or they get it. Yeah, that's a python. The rest of us do not feel emotionally supported right now. But I guess somebody decided to be cheap and think they just put it in a bag, stick it up top. Fluffy would just lay there all tapped out on the Sudafed, and nobody would know. But dogs are going to be dogs, and I never heard the end of that story. This just popped up a little while ago.
Yeah,
Did they find the dog?
Yeah. And what type of dog was it?
Yeah, no. It's got to be small, right?
You know what it is? They actually dressed up the dog in a trench coat and a hat.
And set him on the seat.
And sat him on the seat, and they couldn't tell.
This is McGruff the crime dog.
He's about to take a bite out of crime.
Take a bite out of all y'all. I hope they ratted him out. I really do.
Just get one of them those Biscoff cookies and like, here you go, good boy, or good girl, whatever, and then
keep asking for the Biscoff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but anyway, I thought that was a funny story today. So for me, my AJ was torn. He wasn't sure about what to do with the ethical dilemma. I'm ratting them out immediately. I'm like, it's them right there. I will hang around and swear out a warrant.
Well, I mean, look, if that person is at the window seat, and if for some reason I got the middle seat, I'm ratting them out because I want that window seat.
Oh, just because of seat selection?
Yeah, I'm like, hey, if we switch seats, I would keep my mouth shut. However, if you don't give me that window seat, you got to negotiate your way up, man. Like
that's what you're doing.
Yes.
You're looking for advantage, and I just want to get there. So I'm in a defensive posture.
I mean, look, I'm gonna see the dog. I'm gonna be like, hey, I know you got a dog, and I don't want to become that Karen, but I do have a wig in my bag that looks like a Karen wig.
I will put my Karen wig on and rat you out to the manager.
I will talk to the manager.
I want to speak to the pilot. Y'all, the Blue Light Art Show is this weekend. We're so excited. It's one of my favorite things all year for the holidays, and Tina's just become such a good friend. Let me give you the whole backstory. This takes me a minute to explain because it's such a one-of-a-kind event. Tina Payne owns Earthborn Studios. This is an amazing, I call it a pottery shop. She's probably got a better name for it than that. But they sell earthenware and beautiful dishes. Some of the finest restaurants in the world carry their products, and you can go by there anytime and shop with them. But every year, they put on this art show where she invites her fellow artists that hand make things, largely from around here, but some of them come from other parts of the country as well. Beautiful, handcrafted, one-of-a-kind things. And what Tina learned is at the end of the year, when you make things, sometimes you'll have seconds or imperfections that you're the only one in the world would notice, but you just are not going to sell that in your normal art selling, and you just collect that stuff over the year. Well, what they do is they bring it all in at the end of the year and discount it, and you can get a chance to get some amazing stuff at incredible prices, handmade stuff, unique things for unique people. You probably have some unique people in your life that you give for. And for folks that know about it, they get there early on Saturday. They line up outside. The good thing this Saturday is I don't think we have rain. Years and years. It seemed like every year when Tina would do the Blue Light Art Show, there'd be rain, and they'd be lined up out there in the rain. So my advice to you is get there early. The doors open Saturday at 9, and it goes 9 to 4 Saturday because the pickings are just better on Saturday. But they're still there on Sunday. If you can't make Saturday, they're there from 11 to 4 on Sunday. Still beautiful stuff. The artists are all there with their things. They all get little booths, kind of like consignment booths. And Tina spends, I think she told me she spends 2 weeks clearing out her warehouse to make room for this every year. They push all the pottery and the machines and stuff back and set up these booths. And it's an indoor art show full of very unique stuff. And it's an event within an event, because they also they have this Empty Bowls campaign that they do. It's a hunger prevention initiative. And they have this First Light women's shelter that support and also the Well House. And so for a $25 donation, and it's a suggested donation, you can give whatever you want. You may want to give more than that. They'll make sure your money goes to those things, and a fabulous chef will come in and serve soup You get to keep the bowl. Tina's going to give you a free bowl. With that $25 donation, you get a soup lunch while you're there. Then the money goes straight to these wonderful charities. So y'all look for this. And of course, you've seen her work. I mean, her dishes are used at Hot and Hot Fish Club. They used them in the Olympic Games back in the day. There's a place called the Botanic down in Opelika, Auburn area, an outstanding restaurant. They got her stuff down there. And to top all that off, our buddy Marty Duncan, she let me know yesterday she's going to be there signing her books. Some of y'all go just to meet Marty and get her books and get her to sign them. It's just a lot of things going on at one place. Let me give you the locator, and then we'll go to the phone. Well, we'll go to the break, and then we'll go to the phones. It's in Leeds, right there on the main drag before you get into Leeds on 78. Just put it in your Earthborn, put an E on Born, Earthborn Studios, and swing by there, find yourself a good parking spot, get in line, and go see some really beautiful stuff come Saturday. Earthborn Blue Light Art Show this Saturday in Leeds. It's 2:53, Leland Live, talking to 995. Danny Knowles with the Knowles Group can get you straight with your money. Do appreciate them stepping up and sponsoring almost everything we do here on the station. Had most of the team there Friday night for our Christmas event, ready to just meet with the audience and listen to folks and get them squared away. It's really important that you have a plan when it comes to your retirement. You can play around with some fun money if you want to play the casinos or mess around with the stock market and day trade and have some fun with it. But for serious investing with long-term strategies, with a date in mind or a money amount in mind, you need sound advice. What you need is non-emotional sound advice, and that's exactly what they do for you day in and day out at the Knowles Group. Danny's a lifelong friend of mine, so this is a personal reference from a guy I know is going to treat you with respect, but tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, not some sales pitch, but be honest with you about the plan and the discipline you need to get where you want to get. If you want to get there, this is the guy that can coach you there and get you placed and take care of you. It's the Knowles Group, Knowles, the KnowlesGroup.com, the KnowlesGroup.com. All right, let's hit some phone calls. Got some people calling about the dogs. Kim's on a cell phone. What's up, Kim? Yeah. Yeah. How do you lose?
Are you sure that was a dog?
Yeah.
Because it was Frontier.
It's right. Some people might have just said, hey, man, I'm going to do this now because that bathroom's tiny. Okay, well, thank you. Okay, if you're smuggling a dog, AJ,
Wait a minute.
how does it get loose to poop? Are you just unless you're just walking it onto the plane? I don't understand this.
Right, yeah, because, like, you got to walk the dog, and there's workers there that's going to look like, is that a dog? And then, two, if you're the coworker or you were the stewardess, did you examine it? Did you pick it up? Did you do the sniff test?
It's yeah. So here's my question. Here's my theory of the case, knowing nothing. I love it when we could just read the story, but I'd rather guess at it. So I think that they're smuggling this thing in some kind of bag, and it takes a poop in the bag, and they're trying to dump it before they get on the plane. That's what it is. They could have played it cool. They didn't want to get on with the poop, so they tried to dump it in that little crack, you know. There's always a little gap right there when you're trying to get on the plane. Didn't work.
You know what?
Didn't work.
This is where they need Samuel Jackson on here.
Mm-hmm.
Because, he did a movie called Snakes on the Plane.
It's something else on the plane.
Yeah, who brought the...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and now the Baja men need to go ahead and
Who let the dogs up?
Yeah, no, who brought the dog on the plane? Woo, woo, woo.
AJ's bringing the heat today, y'all.
Sorry.
Charles is next. Good stuff. What's up, Charles? Hey, man. All right. So you know this for a fact? You've read about this? That was some Egyptian dog? Okay. So the dog yodels? It's a yodeling dog is what you're saying? I'm stumped, AJ. And so I guess what you're saying is you're speculating on this, Charles, that that's what they did. They smuggled a yodeling dog on the plane. Gotcha. Charles, yeah, sure. Go ahead, man. AJ, that is a question for you. I know when you get in international water, suddenly they'll open up casinos and because there's no laws that apply. But I guess if there's a murder on the ship, it's going to be wherever you're flagged or wherever I don't know. How does that work, AJ? You're in there hitting it. You chat GPT in it. Good question, Charles. Charles with some random trivia today. So there's a murder on the ship. Is it international law that governs the murder? Or is the investigation taken over when you dock, or do you return to your debarkation?
Now, I've seen like a lot of
embarkation place.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of different situations where, depending on, like they'll take you off the cruise ship if you're at like the Mexico or whatever. But I also seen people get taken off the ship in the United States. I guess it all just depends.
Because how many drinks you've had,
right?
And how Captain Steubing is feeling at the moment.
Now, I'm not an expert on that, so I'm not exactly sure how maritime law and country law of origin when it comes to cruise ships, because I don't ever plan on
You're trying to stay out of. That's me too. Except you did try to smuggle fuzzy handcuffs on a cruise.
I mean, yes.
And we added you about that years ago.
Yeah. Dang. Call me off the ship for some fuzzy handcuffs. This ain't Speed 3.
Everybody caught you. All right, we got to go to the top of the hour break. We'll be back in a minute. More of your phone calls, more of the headlines. Who knows what happens today as we're lurching toward Christmas. Lead 'em live. Talk 99.5. Stay tuned. All right, here we go. It is 3:06, Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Let's go. Hueytown Pawn Man slinging the deals. Tommy keeps bringing me stuff every single day. They got a lot going on. Sometimes it's hard to keep up. I told him, I said, I'm going to have to make a file. They've got a general discount in the store on, certain items in the store right now for 10% off. It's sort of a blanket 10% off. And then, of course, specifically on new and used hunting rifles, Vortex scopes, and then the Ruger Gen 2 and the Browning X Bolt, the A Bolt, both Savage and Stevens. If you're a hunter and you're trying to get out there in the woods this year and you want a nice rig or buy something extra or get somebody started in hunting, a lot of times people get invited. They're just not ready. They don't have the stuff. Man, this is a chance to get yourself a deal down at Hueytown Pawn. And they can trick that thing out with sound suppression, the vector scopes, all that stuff on sale. Vortex scopes, that is. So reach out to them and get to know them. And then you've got a gunsmith. You've got somebody that can also give you from time to time deals, but also service your weapons and all that as well. The Ruger American Gen 2 rifles are $539, just to give you an actual price with that discount. And that's in all of the calibers. Ruger's my very first weapon. My dad got me a Ruger Red Hawk. You remember that, AJ? It's a big old massive gun. This thing was so big I couldn't even pick it up. I was like 13-year-old. He said, "You're a man now, son. You need a gun." And I think he bought it for himself and pretended it was like a kid gift.
Right.
I did get to shoot a couple of milk jugs with it in the woods, but I'll never forget the Ruger brand. You get something like that as a kid, you get loyal to it. Those are nice guns. The American Generation 2 rifles, $539. Who's your hunter on your Christmas list? There you go. I just did Christmas for you. Hueytown Pawn, y'all go see him for everything in the world of gunsmithing. And look, because they've got a pawn license, they can buy stuff from you, and they've got a really large pre-owned selection over at Hueytown Pawn. All right, before we get too much further down the road, let's talk to E. He's out there in the mix. He's got a traffic update for you. He just saw something going down. What's happening to E? Yeah, put it on your. There's your Santa list for Hueytown Pawn. There you go, E. Oh man, that's a mess. Yep, that's the. This is the peak time of the day for that. Give me that locator again for folks that just caught that. Yeah, that's the. Oh, the car dealerships. Yeah, that's right there on 31. Yeah, it looks like a mess right there. Yeah, good stuff. E, we appreciate you. How you been, man? You doing all right? Yep. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. Thanks, E. Appreciate it, buddy. Sometimes I will spit a an old school rap lyric. E, AJ. Got too many initials happening right now. I got E, I got AJ. We have a situation going on in Kentucky at Kentucky State. Tell me if you've picked up anything in addition. There's been some sort of shooting event. They're calling it a mass shooting, multiple shot. Right now, we're hearing now 3 people shot. You never know when they say multiple. One person's now reported dead. The shooter is in custody. And we were doing some homework on this during the break because the story was starting to develop. Apparently, it is near Frankfort. This is an HBCU university campus. And that's about all we know right now. You picking up on anything else?
That's pretty much all I'm getting at this moment. The campus is still on lockdown, and still waiting for more updates because this is such a fresh news story.
Yeah, it's just coming across. Look, this does not look like these things coming in different waves and in different ways. There's always, there's the external threat shooter that comes from the outside of campus, unknown to the campus, shows up on campus with the intent to kill. Then you've got situations that can explode from sort of within, where you've just got a bunch of students together and somebody pulls out a gun over some internal conflict. Those seem less frightening in that They've got containment on it. They know how many are shot. They've got the shooter in custody. This is not an ongoing lockdown event for the folks on that campus. Here we are right ahead of Christmas, and the kids on that campus having to deal with a campus shooting. If we get any other updates, the governor has been involved in updating as well. So the news has reached the governor's office there, right there in Frankfurt. So we're paying attention to that one this afternoon. Things going down in the news. Let me take a look. I was trying to decide what to sling to next as we've been bouncing around. Let's go to Congress for just a minute. There have been some judicial confirmations today. I don't want to dry y'all out with that too much. But Trump is, as he is poised today to do some kind of event, which we may tap into, especially if there's Q&A over the economy. The Trump team has been smart to start getting ahead as much as they can of this affordability issue, as it is known. The Democrats are trying to do some kabuki stuff with pretending suddenly the economy is bad under Trump. The economy is markedly improved since Trump got in office, amazingly improved. Is it where we want it? No. Affordability is a real deal. And it's because we got slapped. Here's the sequence. I'll put it in as plain English as you can. When your government decides to dump trillions of dollars into the economy, you're going to cause inflation. These are rules of economics that are as hard and fast as the rules of physics. If you throw a bowling ball in the air, it's coming back down to the ground. It's called gravity. It's one of the rules of physics. It's very similar in economics. There are things that just happen. Consumers do not cause inflation. Producers do not cause inflation. The government causes inflation. Are y'all taking notes? Write this down. That's step number 3. Every time we get a run-up, like we saw under Biden, where we went to 9%, is because they dump money onto their buddies and their friends and their buddies from Somalia. We just had a lady over in Georgia to get indicted. She's a state rep from scamming money off the COVID funding. These people, they dump money into this pot, and it was a free-for-all grab. And everybody who was connected and even wasn't, there was so much fraud from about 2020 until early this year, and we're just finding out about a lot of it. They dumped money on us. When you put more money supply into an economy, you make the cost of things go up. You've got too many dollars, and it creates a weird dynamic. It's an unnatural part of the equilibrium. All right, we all good on that? Everybody, are we together, class? Now what happens? So the Fed, the only tool they have in their toolbox to deal with rapid inflation, again, caused by the Biden administration and the Democrats in Congress, they dumped all this money on us. And so now the Fed goes and pulls out their gun. And what is their gun? Raise the interest rates. It's one of the sharpest interest rate hikes in the history of this country. We went up nearly 4% on the prime, and interest rates spiraled out of control. What does that do? Cause the cost of everything else to go up, especially housing. And so now you're in a dynamic where even if you've got people, the younger kids that are facing this issue with 6-figure incomes in their families, can't afford housing. I heard a statistic today that the average house of a mortgage, the cost of a first mortgage 6 years ago was $1,200. So if you and your combined income in your family and your young family were making close to 6 figures, $1,200 doable. In 6 straight years, it's now $2,700. There's your affordability crisis. And that's just housing. The cost of energy went up because they put regulation and constraints on our energy production, chasing mouse farts and windmills and all this other goofy stuff over a made-up hoax called climate change. They forced our economy into less dependence, and they made it more expensive to produce natural energy. Are y'all following me? That jacked up the cost of everything. It's built into the cost of everything. So they hit us with too much money and drove up inflation. They forced the Fed in a lot of ways to jack up your interest rates. They spiraled the cost of housing through the roof. By the way, if you're a renter, the person you're renting from probably has a mortgage and has an interest rate. When their rates go up, your rent goes up. That's the economy. So now rent's through the roof, purchasing a home's through the roof. There was a map out the other day about the country and what it would take to have a middle income standard of living in the United States and what the values were. I think for Alabama, it's now your household has to have $147,000 of income coming in for you to be considered middle class, just by money, not by your cultural standards or your taste or your values, right? It's just money. What does that say? There was an estate in the country, because we're one of the poorer states in the country. There was an estate in the country that had a middle class that was under $100,000. Does that make sense? I remember six figures was a big deal. You'd say, six-figure income, oh, impressive. That's what they've done to the value of things and our money, and they did it in a great escalation during the Biden years. You add to that they let what is close to 10 to 15 million people into this country from all over the world to rip off our social services and to crowd out the housing. If you don't, I don't care what your policies are on immigration, or if you vote Democrat or Republican. Okay, set all that aside. You cannot change the laws of supply and demand. If you want your kids to grow up and build any wealth or have any future or know any damn thing, teach them these basics about how economies work. You don't have to be an economist. You just need to know these basic rules. If you understand supply and demand, a couple of different things you can teach your kids. Teach them young. Do it practically in their lives. The laws of supply and demand and how compound interest works. Some adults don't even understand that. If they can ever understand those two things, it will fundamentally change the way they make decisions in their lives, and it'll make them smarter at every financial decision they make, period. So supply and demand. You jam that many people into our cities in particularly, and they crowd out the housing, suddenly there's more demand, and supply didn't change. Why didn't supply change? Interest rates went up. You see this storm? That administration, whoever, that gigantic potato head was clearly not the president. Whoever was making these decisions did all the wrong things at the same time, and they fed off each other. So you've got a spike in interest rates because of the inflation they caused, and you're not going to get housing built. So then there's no more supply. Apartments weren't going up. Single-family homes weren't going up. But you increase the demand load by inviting a whole third world welfare class of people into this country. Because why? Why were those the folks that came? Think about this. People that accuse the Trump administration of somehow being race-based in the deportations, they're deporting who was imported. And who was imported, the race of those people were chosen by the Democrats. They picked the issue. Why did they do that? These people are government folks. They're big government and control freaks. It's in their nature. It's why they're in that party. It's why their policies are what they are. Fact. There is no separation from that. It's what they believe in. They worship at the altar of government. Government wants to control people. Independent, free-minded, hardworking individuals are hard to control. People that are loyal to their faith rather than agnostic are harder to control. They value God over your government. People that are loyal to their families are harder to control. Their motivation in life is to protect the people they've been given governates over. They're hard to control. People that can go out and make a living and do for themselves and don't need anything from your freaking government are very hard to control. Communist, Marxist, socialist, they understand this. They want to build a country that's easier to control. What's the easiest way to do that? Import a bunch of people who are dependents, who immediately come here from Somalia and go to Minnesota and sign up for all the benefits. You've got them by the boo-boos at that point. You control their very life. You control their education, their health care, their income, their housing, their transportation if they're living in one of these big cities. They imported dependency, and dependency is expensive. So the rest of you poor saps out there working 60 hours a week, trying to keep up, especially you youngins that are in your 20s and 30s, you can't do it because of one word, one freaking word. And if you don't understand this, Go on and be a victim. Go on and be a whiny victim the rest of your life, and you'll never get ahead. You'll never improve, and your kids don't stand a chance if you don't understand this one thing. The thing that did that was corrupt government. It was government alone. Government always makes things worse through their spending, through their taxation, and through their regulation. They just did that to this economy for 4 straight years, unnecessarily, and we're still trying to dig out of it. Trump's barely been in office a year, and we've already turned around the gas prices. The food prices have stabilized. The prices are still high, but they're not skyrocketing anymore. Our dependence on foreign oil has gone down. As soon as these trade deals get meted out, these people will start getting factories out of the ground. Suddenly, you've got production again. You've got jobs again, which means you have paychecks again. And now, back to the old lesson about supply and demand, you've got some equilibrium starting to take place where incomes are catching up with the expenses. First thing you got to do is stop the bleeding. Trump has spent the last 11 months stopping the bleeding, and they just about done it. They've had to put a tourniquet on it. The patient's not out of the woods yet. But what we need are fair, balanced trade, shut down the immigration problem. The last key is get the interest rates down. And tomorrow, the Fed makes an announcement on their next move on that. We hope they cut the rates. Excuse me. I gagged on my own logic there. Sorry. Still got a little bit of the crud. Storm Restoration Roofing, bringing you the show tonight. That is Greg Nelson and his fantabulous group of family members that do what they do for a living for almost 27 years now. Greg has been an outstanding roofer that can work with all the insurance companies. Not only do they do the job well, they're really, really good at their work, the way they do the installs. You know, if your roof's not put in right, the manufacturer of those roofing products won't even guarantee them. They have to be installed correctly. So you want to work with a quality roofer. If you have an insurance claim, if you go and make a bogus claim or things that can't be substantiated when you call your adjuster, you're going to have another problem on your hands. You could get your coverage dropped. Greg's got that covered because he knows what's allowed, and he can advise you on that. Call him first if you do have an insurance claim. If you do have an insurance claim, you probably have a massive deductible that's going to blow your mind when you see how much it is. We don't read that fine print in our homeowners policies. Greg's got finance companies that can help you afford that deductible. And then finally, they do that low-pressure roof cleaning, which stretches out the life of your roof, makes your home look nice. Some of y'all have roofs that are a couple of years old. The roof's fine, the materials are fine, but it's ugly because on those northern slopes, we get this buildup, the streaky black sort of buildup that can easily be cleaned with the modern solvents and the things they do with the good folks over at Storm Restoration Roofing. It's Greg Nelson and his team. They run on a phone number, so stick this number somewhere. If you have a home, you have a roof, and if you have a roof, you need to have a roofer, and that would be Greg. 205-542-3531. Let me give you that again. Jot this down, scratch it on something, save it in your phone, whatever. You may just need it sooner rather than later. 205-542-3531, Storm Restoration Roofing. Y'all, Work Truck's bringing you the show tonight. If you're thinking about starting a business in 26, or man, can you believe we're saying 26 already? Or if you have a business and you're just trying to maintain your fleet because your fleet is key to what you do, Work Trucks ought to be in your, we used to call them Rolodex as kids when you had your phone numbers. They'll help you keep that fleet managed, keep it up to date. If you need to add a vehicle or swap one out, they've gone out and done the trouble of finding the best work trucks in the industry all over the country and bring them back here to Birmingham. Then they still don't, even though they're low miles and they look great, they don't trust them until they've gone through everything with a fine tooth comb. And so they'll go and check 125 different items on those trucks, make sure that's right before it goes on the lot. Then they present them out there for us to go look at and kick the tires and decide what works. You know what I mean? Vans, box trucks, big old flatbeds, every kind of pickup truck configuration imaginable. And they make them available to you at a great price with financing, extended warranties. It's everything you need to keep your business looking good and professional and running reliably, and your overhead lower than going and buying a brand new one. It is Work Trucks, TRUX, worktrucksllc.com, downtown Birmingham, worktrucksllc.com. All right, we're keeping an eye on this Kentucky situation. We got other headlines starting to develop. Trump's about to have a rally in Pennsylvania. I'm not sure when that starts, but we'll check on that. Cover all these economic issues as well. And back to the phones when we come back. Leland Live, Talk 99.5. All right, y'all, it's 5:35. Man, Gutter Cap is back at it. They've got their Christmas discount going again. Let's talk. I don't know if your leaves are completely fallen. I've been looking at mine going, I think I still got more to go. And I thought I had done my final clearing of the yard, but I think there's more to fall. Bottom line is, if you've got gutters are packed full of those leaves, and you do not want that sitting there all the winter, damming up water. It's important. Gutters have an important function on your house. They really protect your foundation and everything else. When that water comes off the roof, it needs to be channeled away from your foundation and away from your house. And that's what gutters do. They direct it and divert it. When they jam and all that weight sits there, it's not like in the summer when mosquitoes get up there and breed, but it causes rot. You can have mold, and the water's not flowing. And that's one of the bigger factors is the water is not moving away the way it should, and you've got all kind of problems. Let's get those fixed for good. Gutter Cap will come out to your house and clean all that out. Then they're going to check everything on your gutters to make sure everything's right. No point in putting a gutter cap on there if the gutters are janky or there's been a problem or damage. They're going to fix all that for you, make sure everything's flowing, and then they put their patented one-piece all-aluminum system on your roof, and you're done. You're not crawling back up there. You're not trying to get this stuff done yourself, spending or paying somebody else to do it year after year. You're protecting your home. You're saving money. And here's the thing about their system. It's patented because it works. This all aluminum idea, aluminum doesn't bend and crack and chip and crack and do all those things that some of those plastic covers do. It's durable. It handles the elements. And they really make each section out of one long piece. They produce it to length when they're there on your property, and then you don't have extra seams to worry about. It's really a smart way that they do it. And the water goes in, and the sticks and the leaves and the squirrel turds and the baseballs and the frisbees and everything else stay out of your gutter. It is Gutter Cap. Let them come out and take care of this for you. Now that we're at the other side of the leaf season, then you're ready for spring with 45% off. I love it. Love everything about it. I'll just put it this way. I wouldn't put a different brand on my house. This is the brand with the patented system that actually works. Everybody else is imitating them. It's Gutter Cap. Gutter Cap of Birmingham. Go to guttercapbirmingham.com or Gutter Cap BHAM. I think both of those will work for you. Guttercapbirmingham.com. All right, man, so much going on. One more thing, and then I got a call about inflation. I do want to talk about economics. I don't want to dry the show out too much, but let me pause right there and say there's one more thing. If there are obstacles to Trump completing what he needs to get done, one is the inflation, the interest rates. We should have been dropping before now. It's still holding people up from achieving their mortgage liquidity. In other words, there's some people would get in the game if the rate was just a little bit lower. It helps them buy more house. Doesn't look as drastic as it does if you were locked in at a 3 or 4% mortgage and now you're having to refi at a higher amount. Some folks are just hesitant to even consider that. So the rates need to get down. And we've got a Fed announcement tomorrow. We are expecting at least a quarter point. It'd be nice if they were more aggressive. I doubt they will be because Jerome Powell is political. He's making political decisions. He's not being rational, and there are plenty of experts that can demonstrate that. So that's one thing. The other thing that's holding up a lot of what Trump's trying to get done are the Republicans. Did you hear what I said? Y'all take notes. We're not talking about irrelevant people with loud mouths like this Jasmine Crockett who gets all the news today. The Trump's own party are the ones that are holding back his nominees and some of the reforms. The reason the Democrats get away with judge shopping the way they do is because of the bench. The federal benches are covered with political activists. We've got these activist judges that are not adhering to the Constitution. Trump's trying to appoint his class of judges to give balance to that. But the Republicans, the Senate has a tradition called blue slipping. And you're going to hear Trump railing over blue slipping. And it's just sort of inside lingo. Let me kind of explain in our own words what that means to the average bear while you're watching the Senate fight. So the Senate is a more deliberative body. They consider themselves better than everybody else in Washington than the House members. They're supposed to be sort of the cooling off place for crazy stuff that comes out of the House. It's really the design. And that's why every state has the same number, so there's a little more balance there. New York doesn't have any more strength than we do. We've all got 2 senators. And it's the way the system was designed. So in that genteel body, they've got rules and traditions. One of those is the filibuster. Most people understand that. Filibuster is just a time-honored tradition. I think that's already dead. The Republicans just hadn't acknowledged it yet. They don't want to be the ones to formally kill it, and they're screwing up by doing that because they're handing their opponents the tools to beat them in the midterms, period. If you don't reform our elections and get control of that, problems in the midterms. But then you go to this blue slip thing. What is that? So when there's a nominee to a court position or one of these U.S. attorney positions, the Senate has always given deference to the local Senate delegation. In other words, if Trump's appointed somebody from Alabama in one of the districts in Alabama, the senators from Alabama will get a note from the committee chair over judiciary, and it's on a little blue piece of paper, basically. Well, the tradition used to be it was that way. And it was a blue slip. They send it to them saying, the president has nominated this person from your area. Do you concur? So the idea is the Senate gets the support of the local delegation from the district of the appointment. And if they get that support, they move on with the nomination, right? If they don't get that support, then it almost kills the nomination because the nomination can't move forward. Well, then we get in a dilemma. So, for example, let's take the Elena Habba situation in New Jersey. New Jersey's controlled by the Democrats. Trump makes his pick for New Jersey. But the Democrats almost get a veto because their senators are going to object when they get their blue slip on, say, Elena Habba. They're going to say, no, we don't want her on the court. So then her nomination gets stalled out in the United States Senate because the local guys don't agree. Is everybody with me? Everybody with me? And then the president, whoever the president is, Obama, Trump, whoever, they can make a temporary appointment. I think it goes up to 3 months. Well, Trump's now stuck having to do this with several vacancies in Democrat states, Democrat-controlled states, because of the blue slip process. The blue slip's not in the Constitution. It's not in law. It's just part of Senate tradition and their bylaws and can be changed overnight. If the committee chairman decides to get rid of the blue slip process, in other words, Grassley, who's 200 years old and has outlived, he's still living in the past. This guy was there when some of the monuments were built. And so Chuck Grassley, gentleman though he may be, is like Mitch McConnell in that way, wants to honor the traditions of the body because they care more about that status than they do the rest of the country or a reform-minded agenda. It's why it's hard to get reform out of Republicans because they fall in line and want to honor all these stupid things to be liked when they're in that town. And so Grassley is staying in the way of some of these nominations because he wants to keep with the blue slip, which gives the Democrats veto power over Trump's nominees. Either that or Trump appoints somebody they would approve of in their states, which means you might as well have a Democrat making the appointment. You get these lifetime appointments on the bench and you're screwed. The next time you need an activist judge to overrule what is clearly your presidential authority, you're totally hosed. And then you wind up with Supreme Court cases like we had yesterday with this ignorant Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson arguing the president ought not be able to fire people, that people should work for the government and have great power over us and not be accountable to the people that elect our government. That they should have their own little government within the government and a president can't touch them. That is so unconstitutional. That is the opposite of everything our country is about. So anyway, I squirreled myself with her ignorance. So you get judges like her and you get judges on the bench that are as dumb as she is all the way down. They don't care anything about the Constitution. They're making stuff up based on their political opinions and inserting that in as case judgment. And we're seeing it repeatedly all over the country. That'll never get cleaned up in this little window that we have of Trump's presidency. That's not going to get cleaned up with this blue slip in the way. The blue slip, the filibuster, all that stuff is slowing it down. So there are 3 obstacles that are not the Democrats. Trump's agenda is not being slowed down. Those things are not being slowed down by, quote, Democrats. It's the Fed chairman, which he appointed, by the way. Trump appointed Powell. It's the heads of the Senate, the Republican leadership in the Senate, that are scared of taking down the filibuster and keep with the blue slip stuff. And we sit here and flounder around. I'll give it to the Democrats. When they get power back, they're not going to honor any of this stuff. They're going to pack the courts. They're going to get rid of the filibuster and jam their agenda through. How do I know this? I watched them do it. They're good at it. They did Obamacare that way. They tried to do it in the last session when they had control under Schumer. They tried to drop the filibuster. If it weren't for two of their own, it would have gone away anyway. Yet these country club French cheese-eating surrender monkey Republicans keep acquiescing to tradition. I mean, it's like wearing not wearing your tennis whites on the tennis court that day. What a faux pas. The country club is on fire, but they're concerned about the dress code. That's the best analogy I can give you right now. They're worried about the dress code.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
I mean, the building is burning the hell down, but you don't have your tie on. It's that kind of logic coming from these old farts in the Senate. I told you the day after Trump won, two things. Deportation was going to be ugly, and the Republicans in the United States Senate would be the ones to slow Trump down. CD is up next on a cell phone. What's up, CD? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no, you don't want to smarten them up. If you taught people about taxation and how to do their taxes, general accounting principles and how economies work, it would change everything. Right now, we've got them, they're writing essays about how they hate their own race or want to cut their penis off or whatever they're teaching them now. All this social justice nonsense instead of practical things that would help these kids, all kids of all backgrounds, the rich kids and the poor kids. If they understand these things, they can change their lot in life, but we don't do it. And everything we buy, and you understand this, city clearly, you go to a store today and everything on that shelf, the laws of supply and demand dictated what that price is, period. That store owner has to go, do customers really want this? Can I charge more for it? Or do I have to charge less to be competitive? And that's how capitalism works. That's how competition works in our favor. But if you don't teach people that, they can blame it on their feelings and politically motivate folks in an election year. Yep. Especially in the cities. And that number just went to 2.6. Some of those were deported. Some of those have self-deported because they've done things like cancel their visas and saying, hey, your visa's up, go home. And so they're getting on planes and going home. Some people don't want the harassment or the worry of having to dodge deportation. So that always works. It's supply and demand. You add more people on the system, it's going to make the system cost more. Yeah. Yeah, but it ties to everything else. All the other consumer loans are tied to that. That's where your bank gets its money from that rate, and then they tack their profit onto that by jacking the rate up to those competitive levels. So it affects all of us. It does affect us. Yep, and some loans are tied to that. Some loans are tied to the T-bills for sure. Hey, thanks, CD. Appreciate that, boy. Just backing me up on the economic. Look, it's practical stuff. And the thing is, despite their attempts to make everything a racial issue in this country, math cannot be racist and economics cannot be racist. Understanding the binary decisions of the mathematics of how things work is illuminating to all kids. And I don't think it's beyond any kid from any background. If they get it, they get it. You don't have to be a sophisticated economist to understand. If you, this was taught to me by a black man. I'm gonna give y'all a phrase from A.G. Gadsden, well-known black entrepreneur who built an empire in this town, and then his kids squandered it. He built a bank. He built a radio station. He was a very wealthy man and wise. And I don't think he had an 8th grade education. He was from my grandfather's generation and reminded me of him in his directness. I had the pleasure of interviewing him a couple of times when I was young. And I remember him telling me 2 things. This man was wise beyond wisdom, because wisdom will get you further than your degrees on the wall. And he said, a little bit of everything you earn is yours to keep. What he's saying is save your money. Take something that you work for and put it aside. Pay yourself first before you pay anything else. That's every part of your paycheck. That's yours to keep. You should keep it. That's how he built wealth. There's nothing complicated about that. Everybody can understand that. And I remember him telling me one time, he said, all I know is if I buy an apple for $1 and I sell it for $2, I've made $1. That's it. If you can invest something and put it to work and multiply it and then scale that, that's how you grow wealth. We don't teach that anymore. We teach victimhood and complaints and debt and entitlement, and that is a death sentence intellectually for a whole generation that's flailing right now. They don't understand what's going on. They've not been taught the failures of all these promises of free things, and that somehow there should be equitable this and that. Somebody owes you shelter and food and health care and all this and a free education. They do not owe you any of that. And if you want your kids to thrive and survive, you teach them that nobody owes them anything. It's up to them to earn it. It's up to them to prove it. Okay, so you were born in the dugout and not on third base like Thurston Howell over here in Mountain Brook. Fine. That just means you got to work harder. That means you got to prove yourself. Quit bitching and get to work. If you can teach your kids to stand on their own feet, it's the proudest moment as a parent you will ever have. Axiom Tax Resolution Group. Here comes Perry Cronin with his advice, too, on dealing with the government when they've got you under a barrel. Taxation, boy, that's a whole nother lecture we could go into. The tax code is difficult, it's punitive, it's ridiculous, and it can get even honest people that are trying to do right by the tax code into alerts. It's the only part of our system where you're guilty until you can prove yourself innocent. They accuse you of owing money, and you owe it until you prove you don't. Perry Cronin can step in and help you reduce that liability because he knows some stuff the government's not going to tell you when they start sending threat letters. One of those things is, hey, there may be deadlines they have to comply with. There are programs like the Fresh Start Initiative that let you negotiate that debt down. There are laws that keep them from threatening you with other parts of the government to come after everything in your life to get you to cough up money. You don't have to be run over by the government. You can assert yourself with the professional advice of Perry and his team at Axiom. They are local, and so everything you do with them is dealt with confidentially and face-to-face. You don't have to. You're not dealing with some accountant you got from a TV ad in Peoria. You're dealing with Perry and his team right there in their office or in your location. It's Axiom Tax Resolution Group, 205tax.com, 205tax.com. It's 3:58, Leland Live, talking Internet and 5, Ox Foundation Solutions. Next up here on the show, this is my foundation company. Some of you have serious foundation issues, and you already know it. You've spotted it. You've seen it. It's got you uneasy. You're worried about the price of the whole thing. Y'all, let Ox come over there and just take care of that for you. These folks are the best at what they do, and what they do is take care of everything related to anything under your floor, whether you've got a crawl space, a slab, poured walls, whatever. Foundation issues can pop up. We're prone to it in the South. We have a topography with a lot of moving water, a lot of loose soil. Things can change over time, expansion and contraction. All these are factors. Water will try to break in. So, in addition to the cracks and the shifts and even whole house leveling that they do, that's pretty amazing technology, the helical piers. But they're also experts at encapsulation, mold removal, all these things. Encapsulation this time of the year, generally we will emphasize that during the summer because we're thinking about moisture getting up into the house, and that's just nasty itself. But in the wintertime, encapsulation also creates a thermal barrier that can protect your pipes underneath or in your kitchens, or any of that cold air coming from underneath your house or getting under there. Protects your house in a lot of ways. Can help you on your heating bills and help you in a number of ways as an investment. So even if your foundation's good and you don't have any real issues to worry about, if you've got a crawl space, consider encapsulation with Ox Foundation Solutions and let them come take a look and show you what they can do. It is oxstrong.com, oxstrong.com. All right, we've kind of bounced all over the place tonight. We don't have a pressing story or big theme as we're getting on halfway done with the show tonight. 545-9950 if you want to get on. We got time for some phone calls. Still watching the weather and traffic, and Trump's about to give a big speech in Pennsylvania on the economy. We may get a little bit of that before we're done at 6 o'clock. Headlines when we get them to. Breaking news as we're following it. Leland Live, talking 99.5. All right, y'all, 406, lead on live, talk 99.5. Let's go. Lots of things starting to shake this afternoon suddenly. We'll run back through all those headlines. Lanius Furniture Company bringing you the show tonight, Launius. People say, why are you always spelling? Because I want y'all to remember it. I want you to be able to look them up online. That's a unique name like mine. You got to be able to spell it right if you want to look at some of the brands. The easiest thing to do is just get in the car and go to Lanius. They're in Kimberly, Alabama, right off I-65 off exit 280. And what a great store in a small little unexpected place. Kimberly is just a spot in the road. I don't know if I've ever stopped in there 2 or 3 times over the years until I started going to Lanius. They decided that's where their warehouse was. They decided to take the traditional location, downtown Warrior, and turn that into their new open showroom. And what they wound up with a couple of years ago is a big open 1 acre, well, almost. It's a little short of an acre showroom with a ton of selection with brands you're going to know and trust, like Bassett and like, of course, that stressless line of furniture that they sell, Lazy Boy. It's not a joke. It's not even a throwaway line. They've got more Lazy Boys than Lazy Boys at Lanius Furniture Company. They've got hundreds in stock, many on the floor, many you can't see, and that is a great gift. Every one of them are on sale through Christmas, and that is a great gift for somebody in your life. We talked about it earlier in the show. Get your own space. Have your own little spot in the world. Remember Archie Bunker had that chair? My grandfather had a recliner like that. He sat in that thing probably the last 15 years of his life. Most of it was sit in that recliner. That was his chair, man. Everybody knew not to sit in it, too. If he got up to go do something, you stayed away from the recliner. The man needs a throne. I don't mean that kind of throne. Lazy Boys. On sale, fixed, motion, smart motion. They've got ones with memory settings and heat and massage and all that stuff too. Go check them out at LaniusFurnitureCompany.com, Launius, LaniusFurnitureCompany.com. All right, let's go. We'll go back through some of the more developed stuff that's happening right now. First, we've got Trump is getting on Air Force One from Andrews Air Force Base right now on his way to Pennsylvania. I think it's called Mount Rockford. Something like that. Mount Pocono. I don't know. He's heading to Pennsylvania for a big rally on the economy. And he's smart to stay on top of this. We did a lot of discussion about this in the last hour. He's done campaigning. This is an interesting dynamic. Campaigns are over. He's president, can't run again. But he's back on the campaign trail promoting himself because he can't count on mainstream media to sort of the old dinosaur media to fluff his agenda like they do Democrat presidents. And he's smart to take his message to the people. His chief of staff said the other day he's going to campaign in 26 like the midterms, like he's on the ballot. Republicans have a tendency to not show up, or at least there's a body of Republican voters that didn't really vote a whole lot for the Republican Party before Trump showed up. Suddenly he got them out to the polls. He brings them back when he's on the ballot. And the Republicans are going to need him in the next election cycle. So Trump plans on campaigning for the midterms like it's a campaign. And here he is doing one of these rallies in a key area in Pennsylvania this afternoon. If we get a chance to dip into some of it later in the show, we will. It's a very short flight from D.C. To that part of Pennsylvania. I bet it's not even a 20-minute flight. So he may be on that stage before 6 o'clock. We'll take a look at it. We've had a shooting incident at Kentucky State University that is in Frankfort, Kentucky. We've got at least one dead person. We don't know if it's a student or somebody on the faculty there. Initial reports were 3 people shot, shooters in custody, and we really don't know much else beyond that. But we'll keep an eye on that through any developments in that story. We have a plane that just landed this afternoon on I-95 down in, I think it was near Palm Beach. This thing was coming in hot. And if you've ever been along there, you got the turnpike, you got 95 that are almost side by side. So, I mean, it's just massive traffic through that part of Miami. And this thing hit a car, but managed to land on those interstates. Do y'all know that the interstates, have you ever heard this little factoid? I'll go Cliff Clavin on you, AJ. The interstates were designed so every so many miles, they're straight, they don't curve, so planes can land on them. It was an idea that Eisenhower had when they decided to fund the interstate system, that they ought to be used as potential runways in a time of war. Remember, we're just coming off World War II. Countries building all this infrastructure. So every so many miles, just like the intercoastal waterway was designed so we didn't have to put boats out to sea, we could move ship traffic within the coastline. We were thinking about war. And so they designed the interstate system. And I forget what the formula is, but every so many miles, there's a stretch that's at least a mile long that's straight and can be landed on.
Well, I've noticed that when I drive through, I don't know if they still have it on the road, but I remember driving through parts of Mississippi, and they'll have like a little sign that has like a little plane, and I always thought it was for like the crop planes.
No, that's for aerial surveillance. They'll give you a speeding ticket from the air.
Well, also too, they said planes lane. There might be a plane that lands, and they had like little markers on the ground.
Well, it could be crop dusting planes. Yeah, because those suckers will come in low.
Oh yeah,
you go out west, dude, and one will just like cross in front of you. They'll come in low and hit that. Yeah. Those guys are insane. Yeah. Those guys that do that. We do some of it in North Alabama. I don't think we do it. Maybe we do some of it in South Alabama too. Those guys are like stunt artists. They'll come in low, hit those crops, and they got those little aerial numbers. They can see what they're hitting, which field. They're back up in the sky. Suicide pilots, man.
Man, look, if they were ever, I know the Blue Angels, they do a fantastic job of those air shows, but those crop pilots need to probably do like a crop pilot like air show or something like that, because they do be buzzing real close. They be touch and go. Yeah, pretty much it.
And of course, nowadays we call crop dusting. That's when you like break wind in a crowd on your neighbors. One of those old farm phrases we talked about earlier in the show. All right, now let's go to the J6 bomber guy that they picked up last week. Some little dribs and drabs on him. That story got memory hold. Notice they also have dropped the drug boat story. I mean, it's not completely gone, because you had Schumer today stomping his foot saying he's going to kick Pete Hegseth's door down and find out what's going on. And you got Rand Paul, sitting on his mountain of sanctimony about it. I understand Rand Paul's argument, but so we went from Epstein, was the biggest story in the country, until the Republicans decided to release the files, which should be out within 10 days, by the way. Whatever there is there to be done. Another court today has agreed to release the grand jury testimony, because the Justice Department has gone to them and said, we want it all out. The law says we can do it now, so they're doing it. So they dropped that, and they pivoted immediately to trying to cause sedition in the military. That's starting to backfire on them all over the place. The numbers don't poll well on that at all, creating division between the commander-in-chief and this notion that there are illegal orders. Well, they hadn't been able to make it stick. Then they tried to run the blowing up the drug boat scam. That blew apart on them with some congressional testimony the other day where the actual admiral came in and said, look, we were authorized to do it. We did what we do. And it is true. It's what historically has been done with these type of operations. So now they've moved on. And then we get the J6 bomber, and that's the next thing they had to memory hole. This guy fit none of the pattern they wanted you to believe about what January 6th was about. They spun a fake narrative over that whole setup event. And the suspicion still remains that the FBI didn't catch this guy before now. There are a couple of reports out tonight about the bomber, Urkel, I call him because I can't remember his name. Number one, it's reported tonight that the FBI knew, because whistleblowers, others are coming forward that were aware of all this stuff. They knew who he was as early as 2021, in the year that it happened. Remember, it was January 6th, 21. The FBI knew exactly who he was. It was painfully obvious. They had cell phone data. They were able to geofence him. They had the shoe tip. They had his online presence. They had all this stuff. They just didn't put the story out, either because they were culpable in some way with this guy's activities, or it just didn't fit the political narrative that they were trying to spin for what happened that day. So they left him out of the story because it hurt the narrative. If that's true, then everything about January 6th was political to begin with, as we all know it is. So, and then there's this little nugget. The kid's weird. There's some people saying he was even autistic. And was super eccentric living there. His family had a bail bonds business. But apparently he had a secret life online, and we've covered this kind of story before in the past, where he had a you ready for this one? He had a My Little Pony fetish. I'm just giving y'all a moment to pause and think that through before I scramble your brain anymore. He had this fetish for My Little Pony and had his own character, and he played in these online little environments. I guess they create their own worlds, My Little Pony, and he had his own little My Little Pony character.
Oh, really?
How
Okay.
diverse. And he also knows how to make bombs. Funny what kind of life he was living. He was an anarchist. He was BLM. He wanted to blow up the world, but he also loved some little pony time on the side. That's how he relaxed, I guess. Do you think he had a costume?
Probably so. I wonder what his favorite My Little Pony was.
Urkel. I'm saying, even in My Little Pony, even those people picked on him and called him Urkel. So those nuggets tonight on that guy, it's just one of the most
Now,
bizarre
when
things.
when he got captured, did he say, "Did I do that?"
It's I was waiting on that. Good job. You didn't let me down. I appreciate it. Got my back. Yeah, the world's so weird right now. It is completely strange to me, and I'm not even sure what's going on from day to day sometimes. It's the damn internet. And I'm telling you, with this guy, the first thing I thought, my cynicism and skepticism is at an all-time high. The first thing I thought with that My Little Pony angle was, it seems as if every one of these kids had some weird online darkness that they were attached to. And you can either read that there's probably three ways you can look at that. It's part of their generation. That's a broad excuse. Or number two, the mental madness, once they delve into these places, starts to drive them mad, and then they're prone to act out like the Butler shooter. I can keep going. Some of these school shooters lately, some of these would-be assassins, driven mad by this doom cycle on the internet. Or more nefariously, some person within the CIA, the deep state, or somewhere, this is where they're finding their assassins. This is where they're finding people they can manipulate. It goes back to the whole Wormwood, not Wormwood. It goes all the way back to, what was the name of that project? MK Ultra and all that stuff, where they were experimenting on people and creating these psychological operations. It is a feeding ground if you want to find a crazy person that you can ramp up and point toward a destruction somewhere. There are even conspiracy theories are looking way back to the Vegas shooter and how he might have been manipulated himself into producing what he did. I don't know to what effect or why that shooting was even important in terms of our government or all the conspiracy theorists. But I am telling you, it's a connective piece of all of these crazy people that are emerging, these sexual deviant groups and chats and beliefs and things that they've been involved in. You can name Charlie Kirk shooter, the Butler shooter, this dude who would have killed thousands of people with those bombs. Now, they were pipe bombs, but explosive enough in a congested, crowded environment to have done a lot of damage, including to some of our government officials. And to this day, outside of law enforcement themselves and a couple of rednecks that were in a pickup truck that had some weapons in the truck, not even near the Capitol, he was the only person that came armed before January 6th went down. And by the way, he did it the night before. They would have you believe this guy, last week CNN was trying to spin some yarn that this guy was an election denier, and he believed the 2020 election was stolen, and that's what motivated him. You know what blew that up the minute CNN put it out? The FBI reports on him, and some of the charging documents say he bought the materials well before the election was over. This guy was already in the bomb-making business well before that. Now, I mean, you could argue he was looking for a target, and that was a motivator, and the two could be true, but a lot of that just seems like bunk. Anyway, a little bit of an update on that story, among other things that are still hanging around with us as we head toward Christmas. Alabama Dental Associates bringing you the show tonight. AlabamaDental.com. Y'all go see Dr. Brian and the team. Stay on top of your dental health. I know the holidays are busy, and maybe you don't have time for an appointment between now and, say, Christmas. Man, it's just a couple of weeks away. Can you believe it? But we're at a situation where as we turn the calendar and go to a new year, we're all trying to tighten up. Some of y'all are giving up drinking, giving up eating too much, going to the gym, trying to get your steps in, doing some life changes. One of those should be do your medical checkups, the routine things. Put them on your list to get to somewhere early in the year before you lose your resolve. And I'm telling you, skin cancer ought to be something because you're not thinking about it. There are no fancy promotions to make you constantly think about it like some of the other cancers. And I love those programs, Breast Cancer Awareness Month and all that. Makes people think, motivates folks. Well, in this case, it's skin cancer, which is 1 in 5 people in your life have had some form of it. One of them could be you. And the sad thing is, melanoma can absolutely be deadly and dangerous, and you need to be checked for it. So go do it. Put it on your list. Take somebody with you. Get the all clear, or find out something that you needed to know and should not be delaying. The only thing they do is skin cancer at Southern Skies Dermatology. That's all they do. And then my friends over at Alabama Dental are ready to get you on the list as well while we're talking about all of our medical professionals. Alabama Dental will see you as late as 7 o'clock, and they'll see you on Saturday. Do these checkups, do the screenings, do all this stuff, and take care of yourself in the new year with a lot of our great sponsors, both Alabama Dental and, of course, Southern Skies Dermatology. All right, quick break. Back here in just a minute. It's 427. Thank y'all for hanging out with us here on this rather cool Tuesday night. Man, we got some milder weather this weekend than we're gonna get, but it will get below freezing. And I was looking at a long term trend. While the midsection of the country is about to get blasted with snow this weekend, blizzard like conditions up in the Midwest, we're going to escape a lot of that. It was about to be bad down here in the South in the teens, but there's a warming trend toward Christmas. The last couple of weeks of the month look like we're going to have a complete pattern flip. So I don't know. Do you like those cold Christmases, or is it cool when it's like 75 degrees on Christmas Day and the kids can go outside and play?
You know what? I do like the 70 degrees because then the kids get like the new toys and they can just go out and play for a couple of hours.
Stay out there.
Yeah, just stay out there. Do like I used to do. See, back in my day, my parents said you need to get out and just be home when the lights come on.
All the cliches.
Yes.
Crocker Moving Services bringing you the show tonight. That's Eric Crocker and his whole team. Man, what a great company. If you've got a big move, a comprehensive move, where they're just packing a lot of stuff, you're going a long way, this is your company. They're going to do it right, think it through. You know what? I'm so impressed at how they stagger their schedules and estimate their time. That's a big part of their business, is knowing how much stuff you have and how long it's going to take. And I've never had them go over their estimate. Every time I've used them, I've been within the 2-hour range. It's usually just a few heavy things, and they've always been able to get it done right on time and get on to the next client. That works for us because they can scale their services down or up depending on what you've got to do. Sometimes it just ain't worth it to try to do it yourself and get your buddies involved and wind up breaking your stuff. Let the experts handle it. They're covered, they're bonded, they're trained. They know how to move the difficult things in difficult places, and it's what they do for a living. Eric's a great guy. His military background, I really think, has served him well from being a Marine and doing things right and being buttoned up. That's what you need in a mover, and that's what he does all the time. It's Crocker Moving Services. For anybody in your life that has a move coming up, CrockerMovingServices.com, CrockerMovingServices.com. Bottom of the hour break. We'll come right back and do some more of this thing. Leland Live, Talk 99.5. All right, y'all, 434 Leland Live, Talking at M5. Let's go. Alabama Bass bringing you the show this hour. They're still running their special where you can get some freebies from them if you do an install. If you're ready to get your system tuned up and get that old janky bathtub out of there and get an actual stand-up, walk-in, low-entry, easy-entry, slip-proof, secure stand-up shower into your facility, it'll both modernize it and make life better for you. They are throwing in a free $1,000 seat. That's generally the retail price on that. To add this onto your system would be about $1,000. All you got to do is drop my name. They're only doing it through the end of the year because we got a new fun promotion coming up in 26. I think you guys will enjoy. It's Alabama Bass, y'all. They've been around for 40 years. At least Mike has. Sandra and all of them are too young. Sandra's his wife. Jill's his daughter. John helps run the show. He's a great guy. Dewey's out there helping them with their sales and contracts. This is a great local business. They're not going to hustle you like these corporate entities that are trying to get into this space. Wall Street finds some market. They just create a brand, jump in there, start pressuring people. Their product is better. There's zero pressure. They're gonna make sure you're happy. And it's a 2-day project. They're in and they're out in 2 days. Really, it gets done in a day. Some of these other companies will say, we'll do it in 1 day. Yeah, they can put it in a day. But that next day, you have to let things cure, come back and test to make sure there are no leaks. So Mike and them at Alabama Bass are not going to promise you 1 day when they know the proper way to do it is to come back the next day and check the lines. But that's just what they do. They're honest that way. It's alabamabass.com. Take advantage of that free seat, whether it's a fixed or fold-down seat at alabamabass.com. All right, here's Clarissa in Alabaster. What's up, Clarissa? Mm-hmm. Well, you did a good job anyway. Yeah, look, as far as the studies, there are studies everywhere about the impact on some of the social media platforms, and gaming is thrown into that, and it ranges from the sexual deviance. There's even some testimony on Capitol Hill today about a young man. It's such a sad story. This little young fellow was a track star at his school, but was lured into sort of a trap by these people online that'll get these kids to compromise themselves and then start threatening them and extorting them for money. So that stuff is going on now with AI. They're taking kids' images, young kids, middle schoolers, and using their images to create fake pornography, which then gets used and passed around to embarrass them. It's a den of insidiousness. But then there's the violence angle, which you're speaking about, and I'm not sure what studies are done and what links are made, but we're clearly seeing some things happening with the mindset of these kids. This poisonous crop is not just that it's a fertile environment for what we're seeing. I guess if we were to compare it to a crop, the rain doesn't grow the corn. The soil doesn't do it alone. The fertilizer helps. The farmer has to till the soil. there are a lot of factors that are going into it. I'll never forget years ago interviewing some Army trainers down at the 75th Ranger Regiment down at Fort Benning, talking about recruiting. I was part of an investigative team that was trying to figure out why the Army was having trouble in the 90s recruiting and retaining people in the military. And there are a lot of issues at play. But this one recruiter for the Rangers told me, he said, these kids, and this was in the 90s when games weren't nearly as sophisticated and the stimulation kids get wasn't nearly what it is now. And he said they are better conditioned to pull the trigger now than the generation before them that didn't grow up with this stuff, because the games, they sit and train to shoot each other on these first-person shooter games, and they walk into the military. He said, we used to have to spend 2 weeks to get them to quit being hesitant to pull the trigger. He said they're trigger pullers. The quote was, they're trigger pullers on day one. So even back then, in the digital environment was not nearly as impressive and ubiquitous as it is now. It was starting to affect kids and their cognitive growth. And I could talk about this, I think, till 6 o'clock, because I'm kind of obsessed with the subject. I read everything I can on it. Yep. We'll see. Well, he can't. Thanks, Clarissa. He can't wave a wand and just make these things happen. And even as parents, you can do all the bans you want. It's going to be difficult to control. I will say this on the positive side: the schools that have banned tech at the schools, that universally around the country, from different neighborhoods, different type of schools, different background kids, the teachers are reporting the kids are more focused. They're answering questions. They're participating in class. They're getting their work done quicker. They're not being overstimulated. There are two sides to it. Boy, she sent me down a dirt road, but I'll stay on it for a minute. There are two sides to the story. It's the overstimulation and the wiring of their young brains, particularly males. And largely it looks like males are more vulnerable to some of this stuff than the females in terms of the overstimulation and all these factors. Girls are having a different effect. It's largely social and image-oriented, depression and suicide, those things. But somebody else pointed out it's not just what they're doing online, it's what they're not doing in their lives while they're online. The hours, because of the addiction that it creates its own addiction, like any other, like fentanyl or any other drug. Once people get hooked, the hours they spend, and y'all, this is true of adults too. It's just the difference for us is we're already mostly cognitively developed. We're still wasting our lives. We're ignoring people that are important to us. We're not being as human as we were when you're stuck on these devices. But for these kids, their brains are being wired. They're in the wiring mode. Young males, the brains of young males are not fully formed until they're 25 years old. So one of these scientists I was listening to talk one day that is looking into it said it's not just, again, what they're doing and what's going in, the trash that's going in their daily lives. They're not getting sunshine. They're not getting those relationship cues you get when you can talk to another human being and look them in the eye. Hey, Jay, have you noticed this? Younger kids will stare straight through you like you're not even there.
Right. And I've seen it. And
they won't look at you when they talk to you.
Yeah. And here's the crazy thing. They'll be standing right in front of you, right? Won't say a word. But then if you respond to them on however they communicate with their friends, then the whole personality changes. And I've seen that with this generation.
It's frightening in a lot of ways. The subtlety of it is frightening. The suicide rates spiking. I think this is part of it. We've had a mass spike in teen suicide rates. It's the peer pressure that comes from all that stuff. It's an awkward age as it is. This stuff is consuming them. And they're not learning life skills. They're not learning how to stare at a problem and fix it with their own mind. They're always searching for something to give them the answer. Oh, it goes on and on. It's tragic. And honestly, I think that the toothpaste is out of the tube in a lot of ways on this. I'm not sure how we as a society can get it back. I don't know where we turn back to a visceral, tactile, emotional, real, reality-based life like some of us had the advantage of growing up. I saw a generational clip. I know we're just a little rambly right now, but this is all kind of crap that rattles around in my head sometimes. I watched this thing the other day, and I wish I had saved it. It was about 3 or 4 minutes long. It was about why sort of Gen X and that generation, people that grew up in the 70s and 80s, why our worldview is a little bit different than the younger generations. And there was a line in there that made more sense to me than anything I've heard on the subject. That those folks that are listening right now, and it's a lot of you, we're the bridge generation between a world that was different than what these kids know. They don't know the world we grew up in before technology. And now we're having to participate in it too, but we grew up, half our life was one way, the other half is the other way, and we see the difference. Now, as we go along, you're dealing with generations that will never not know a world that's like this. And so is the world that we knew prior to this consumption of us and our brains and our attitudes and everything that's going on, this overstimulation, this constant stream of media, the world you and I knew in the 70s and 80s, I guess through part of the 90s, is lost forever when our generation goes away. There will be no institutional memory of any of that. It's gone, if you think about it. If you're over, I'm trying to put an age on it. I would say if you're over maybe 45, you probably fit into that category. And y'all, how many years do we have left? And then it's gone forever. And then it's constantly evolving and changing. And that's sad because there was humanity in it. And what we learned, it went back to how that generation learned from the World War II generation who had lived through real problems. They had lived through real war and real depression and real issues that even those of that generation that lived through real racial discrimination and segregation. These generations don't know that stuff. We were taught by them. Deal with your problems. Pull your pants up. Suck it up. And so we did. And then we watched this whole new group come along that's just absolutely saturated with this. And they're not good at solving their problems. And it's frightening. It's frightening to know that I don't see an end to it. And then here comes AI. It's a whole new evolution of this stuff where no one has to think. We're either going to be the smartest people. We are exposed to more information than any humans that have ever lived instantly. We have instant access to all knowledge almost. And as AI comes along, it'll be everything. But we know less than the generations before us. It's not stored on our brain's hard drive. It's in the cloud somewhere. We don't have to know it. We don't have to know anything. It's because it's accessible to us. I don't know if I like it. No, let me repeat that. I don't like it. Is this Santa calling from the North Pole? Are you serious? What's happening, Santa? What? On your list?
Now, are you checking that twice just to make sure?
Are you talking about the story I was talking about the other day? Thank you, Santa. Turns out Santa's an a-hole, kids.
Oh, y'all been bad.
Mm.
You know, you got to be bad when Santa TP's your house.
Mm. Is it idiot night? Did we declare idiot night here on the show? I told you the camera in the studio is going to reveal too much of my actual thoughts when people are yapping on the phone sometimes.
Too bad I can't and maybe there's a way, but I could create like one of them thought bubbles when you have those thought bubbles.
Yeah, just put them up. People can read it on my face. It's hard not to. That's one of the questions over the years that I've gotten the most is like, how do you sit there and handle some of these callers? It used to be amusement, then it goes to frustration, and it's depression, and at some point you just quit taking those calls, which I've largely done. I just don't take a lot of calls anymore. You got the Clarissas of the world who's just articulate and bright and adds value, and then you got that.
Hey, you better watch out, Santa might bring some TP to your house.
Mm.
Which honestly, that won't be so bad because I got a house full of people. So come on, Santa, bring that over to my house.
CB is expensive, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Monster Liner bringing you the show. MONSTALINER, monsterliner.com. Y'all, this is a wonderful paint product. They make it right up in Coleman County, or depending on where you are, it could be down in Coleman County. Eric's family comes from the New York area, and he met a good girl from Alabama and moved here years ago. He said, I said, how do you like living in the South? He goes, I kiss the ground every day that I'm here. I was like, I get you, buddy. But his family has been in the paint business back to the early 1900s, and their core business is industrial paints. They make specific paints and colors for industry. Well, somewhere along the way, they came up with a do-it-yourself version of that, so you and I can do our own projects without needing a lot of talent or a lot of equipment to spray paint on a boat trailer or utility trailer on a vehicle. The idea behind this product is to paint your own car or truck. And you can do it. Now, look, you're not going to go paint your new Cybertruck or your Lambo with this product. But if you got a rusty something out there in the yard that's still running and you want to take care of it and it's getting a little oxidized and looking bad, you can put a fresh paint on it yourself with Monster Liner. Look at the videos online. You'll see how it works. It's a roll-on process, and they send you everything you need in the kit: the pan, the roller, the paint, the stuff, multitude of colors. They got lots of colors because, remember, this is a custom color company. This is what they do, or create these colors. So let them send you some paint chips so you can decide which one's best and get to work on your project. Anybody can do this. It's called Monster Liner, MONSTALINER, monsterliner.com. All right, y'all. Michelson Laser Vision next up here on the show. What a wonderful gift to give someone or yourself for Christmas. And I really mean that. It is the gift of sight. the liberation in it, the freedom and independence, the life changing stuff that comes when you can see all the time with your own eyes. I'm still 2015, working on my 7th year since I got LASIK. And it was one of those things, I've told this story over and over again for all these years, that I had resisted. You could not have talked me into it just on your own. You can come up to me and tell me how great your surgery was, and I go, okay, that's nice. But it wasn't until I understood it, till I went through the tutorial, because Dr. Mark wanted to come on the show. I needed to know what was going on with his business. I already knew his reputation and I knew him. But once I understood the procedure, literally my eyes were open, and I said, you know what? Maybe I do want to do this. And he did the surgery. The day I went for the surgery, it took less than an hour. It was the easiest thing in the world. Easy recovery. I did everything they told me to do. And I love being able to see all the time without my glasses or contacts. You don't know how bad your glasses or contacts are till you get to throw them out. I remember the day I threw all that stuff away, the contacts, the solution. Stuff gets expensive too. Constantly updating your prescriptions and going back to the doctor every year to get that. Look into it. Another pun. It's Dr. Mark Michelson and Dr. Jennifer Michelson, downtown UAB Highlands. Easy in and out facility too. Sometimes when I mention UAB, people think, oh no, I got to go through that airport. No, there's a parking lot in the front door, and they're up on the 5th floor, and they're going to be very efficient with your time and give you excellent care. If LASIK doesn't work for you, maybe they've got another product that will. Talk to them about that. MichelsonLaserVision.com. Y'all go and see them and trust the absolute experts in the cutting edge practice to help you see better. Okay, there was another story that I didn't get to yet. We've kind of been bouncing this afternoon. And this was frightening, but 2 New Jersey brothers were arrested today on charges of making terroristic threats against you ever seen this young lady that comes on? She's on TV all the time, Tricia McLaughlin. She's a spokesperson for the Homeland Security. So she's constantly having to field questions about ICE and the activities of ICE and the deportations. And she's a sharp young lady. She's really well-spoken. She does a good job. Well, they were threatening to kill her. The allegations come among the reports of, you've had an 8,000% increase in attacks and death threats on ICE agents themselves. Well, now they came after the spokesperson, Ricardo Antonio Roman Flores. He should be deported for having too many names. And Emilio Roman Flores are twins, and they're from a place called Absecon, New Jersey. It's right near Atlantic City. They were arrested for plotting and posting on X that they wanted to torture and kill McLaughlin in medieval fashion. Now, they rounded them up and they caught them. They're quite excellent mugshots. One of them looks like he's been spray tanning himself. They've been caught. Look, it's a serious world. Even if they're just blowhards and popping off on social media, you got to take every one of these threats seriously. And clearly, Homeland Security did in this case. And I don't know that she's responded. I'm sure she has. This is her job, is to respond to these things. But just taking a role in public life nowadays can get you threatened or shot at. Speaking of shot at, let me throw this little nugget in too. You've got this whack job, Candace Owens, who's been out sowing seeds of dissension amongst conservatives over her conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk's death. She's been left out of the attention, so she's gone after his widow. She's gone after the organization. She's blamed the Jews. She's blamed people hiding underground. She's now blaming Asians. She's got a new theory every day, and she's yet to step up and prove any of this or present any evidence whatsoever that's convincing anyway. Well, one of the accusations she's made is that the organization Turning Point was under a threat for back taxes from the government. The government had to put a statement out today about their filings and squash that conspiracy theory like a bug. They said, look, all of the Turning Point entities, and I think there are 4 of them, are up to date on their taxes and their filings. They owe us no money. They're not in trouble in any way with the government. That's nonsense. For the government to have to defensively put that out on behalf of those folks shows you how easy it is to stir up the poop when you decide that's the kind of podcaster you're going to be. The girl needs help. She and Britney Spears need to go to the same doctor. All right, man, let's do the last hour here on this Tuesday. Alabama Gold Refinery bringing you the show tonight. Y'all, this is a wonderful place. I saw a story earlier today. I don't know where it settled. Maybe I can pull that up real quick. But silver has been on a run lately, and it's up $60 lately, and that's really impressive. So right now, gold today settled at, let me see if I can get commodities. I clicked the wrong thing. I clicked currencies. Gold is up to 42.36 an ounce, and silver's been on that $60 run. Good time to purchase, especially if you got scrap or something that's just sitting around not doing you a whole lot of good right now. You can cash out for maximum value, pay off some debts, buy Christmas, put it in your pocket, do what you want. It's Alabama Gold Refinery. Over in Homewood, this is a great place to get both a secure location to do this kind of stuff in person. Some people like to trade in these items. I don't know. You get certificates. Somebody's holding it for you in Switzerland, whatever. If y'all want to trust that. That's your problem. That's your issue. I'd rather collect this stuff in person and have the security of it. It's one of the beautiful things about these kind of commodities that you can secure them yourself in a pinch, in a crisis, in calamity. They still have value. They're not going to lose value. They never have. Gold has held its own since the days of Jesus himself. You can go back beyond that to ancient history and see gold and what it was worth and how it was traded and what it does, and it just holds its own. It is a standard. So maybe you want to be in on that, or maybe you want to be in on silver, which has had an incredible run itself. The run on silver, my understanding, is more about the supply chain. Earlier in the show, I gave a big lecture on supply and demand. There is a supply shortage that started to happen with a lot of the industrial output that's happening right now that needs silver. It's an industrial product as well as a commodity that's used by consumers for other things. So anyway, y'all go see Steve over at Alabama Gold Refinery to pick up some coins or any form you want, or to sell your stuff and get fair value, or to trade. He'll trade you metal for metal. Just talk to him. I love that he's such a wealth of education and he knows so much about everything that's going on. My man has been busy of late with the way the metals have been trading lately. So y'all reach out to him and go see him over in Homewood. They're in a safe location across from the Big Regions Bank right there on 29th, centrally located in Homewood. It's Alabama Gold Refinery, AGR, alabamagoldrefinery.com. Okay, so let me talk more about this Paramount Netflix battle for Warner Brothers. That may not sound like something that you'd want on a local show, but it's fascinating, and it will affect your habits if you consume any movies, streaming, sports, news. There's so many entities that are caught up in this, and there's been a turn of events today that's really interesting. Apparently, Paramount's shares, I was just noticing this, I was checking the markets again, Paramount shares are diving, and they've continued to make their cash offer. Let me see if I can put this in street language. We've talked about it for a couple of days. So Netflix comes with a big offer to buy Paramount. People that are concerned about Netflix social engineering and manipulating plots and putting out propaganda have very proper concerns about this company. By the way, let me take a departure and bring this back up. Their big movie right now, that's their big push. If you flip to your Netflix right now and turn it on, the first thing in your face is going to be a movie they just put out called Queen of Coal. Now, AJ, you can pretend you don't know what that's about. What would you think that's about if you saw Queen of Coal?
It's about a woman who loves to grill.
This was you think they would have learned their lesson in the last 5 years with all the problems they've been through at Netflix? This can't be a true story. It's about a man who transgenders to a woman, and he wants to go to work in the coal mines as a woman. And he is fighting for the rights of women everywhere to work in coal because he's a woman. But he's not a woman, he's a man. So should they let him in the coal mine on that circumstance? So the way the plot goes is typical Netflix. You can't work in here. There's some rednecks pulling their britches up going, this is man's work, lady.
Or sir.
Should we give the coal miners credit for not misgendering the trainee coal miner, or are they being discriminatory because he's actually a man who's pretending a woman? Who are they discriminating? I don't know. I'm so confused. I can't believe they put this out. It's Queen of Coal, about a transgender coal miner. We've come a long way since Loretta Lynn did that movie about her life. I'm just saying. Back to Netflix. So this is the crap they're putting out, and so a lot of folks have trepidation about them buying up Warner Brothers. So now Paramount weighs in, and they're coming with a straight hostile takeover cash offer to the shareholders of Warner Brothers. Yesterday it was at $30. That made it over $100 billion to buy out all the stuff that Warner Brothers owns. So now the reason that you'd think, well, why would investors be selling off the stock? They believe that an official bidding war is now underway, and that the product is going to be overvalued, and it's almost no way to stop it. They're bidding on the future of control of everything when it comes to entertainment. I mean, the whole world is about to get consolidated in this big monopoly, one way or the other. Either Netflix controls it or Paramount controls it. And again, it's not just future adaptations and programming. It's all those libraries, all that intellectual property that still has tremendous value that they're trying to buy up. So the stockholders are saying, Paramount is now saying, we may have to come up with another $5 a share, which would be just an insane amount of money, pressing Netflix to sweeten its offer. Wall Street is sitting back looking at the liabilities of all these companies and going, dude, y'all have lost your minds. This is overvalued. If you do this, you're gonna cause problems for both companies. And so you've got this weird dynamic where investors are kind of running from this deal making. And then, of course, once one of the deals is set, everything's going to go to the moon. But it's a crazy time. I do think this is one of those things that becomes so big, the government probably has to weigh in on it with the FTC or one of the commissions that could decide whether or not this is monopolistic. I do have absolute cultural and censorship and or propaganda concerns about Netflix winning this deal. Paramount is not necessarily a paragon of virtue itself. It puts out a lot of trash as well, but it's not in that Netflix world. Netflix is pure propaganda, it seems. And I've got statistics to back that up. Eddie is in Birmingham. What's up, Eddie? Oh, oh yeah, Queen of Coal. It's a dude. Yes, years ago when it came out. Is it? I forgot about that. I forgot. I forgot about that. Holy crap! Oh gosh, I forgot about that. Good catch. M- AJ, please, for the love of all that is holy, dig up the trailer for Queen of Coal. I got to hear this thing. We can't watch it, so y'all really can't get the full effect of it. I forgot about Zoolander. Now I got to go watch that movie tonight. Thanks for the. Oh, I remember that. Oh yeah, is there two worlds? I mean, somebody was watching Zoolander one night at Netflix and said, "Hey, I've got an idea. Let's take this scene from Zoolander and let's make a whole movie out of it. What if? Hear me out. You know how they put their hands up like they're looking through a box. Picture this: Steve becomes Stephanie and wants to work in the mines. And clearly, I don't know how the plot goes, but just like Hallmark, you can predict it. This trainee is going to wind up being, in the end, the hero. I think the plot goes: the good old boys were too rough and tumble for our transgender hero and would not let him, her in the mines. But then there was a collapse, and they needed him, her, they, them's help. And him, her, they, them came to the rescue and saved the day for all of womanhood, even though this guy's got a twig and berries. They probably didn't throw that into the promo. While AJ looks that up, I'm going to tell you about Douglas Cooling and Heating. Ready to come to your house? Make sure you're right and tight for the winter heating season. We got another cold snap coming. We're down in the 20s this weekend. Better than it was going to be, though. They thought we're going to be in the teens this weekend. And then it maybe warms up again. But make sure your system's clean, inspected. If it's in the last cold snap, if it wasn't warming you up, keeping you toasty, doing what it's supposed to do, maybe you just need a service. You'd be surprised. Some people think they're going to have a replacement, but a good tune-up and maybe some restoration of a few parts, and you can keep that system running. Good maintenance stretches out the life of it anyway. So let Douglas come and help. Jay runs a great company, Jay Douglas and his whole team. They've got a plumbing side of the business. Let's talk about that for a minute, too, as we get to pipe breaking weather. If you do have issues with your water heater, they'll come out and do an inspection for you for that, too. So you're not going to have something unexpected happen. It's good to do this kind of maintenance. But if you do wind up with a burst pipe or some problem, keep their number handy. You can find it at their website, and that is calldouglas.com, CALL, calldouglas.com. License number 2017181, calldouglas.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our dramatic Netflix presentation of the evening, Queen of Coal. That can't be the right movie. Is that the right movie?
That's what it pops up.
Is it? Is that our hero? I need it.
Yes.
Here's a question I have. Is this role played by a woman or a man who thinks he's a woman who's also playing a man who thinks he's a woman? I'm so confused. These rednecks. Dude, that sounds like an AI parody. This can't be real. Is that real?
Okay, so it's
the voice quality alone, because I can't see the images.
Yeah. All right, so
that's woman's work.
The original,
the rough and tumble guy sounds like a tranny.
All right, it is like an Argentinian movie. It's a foreign-based movie.
Is it dubs? Are those dubs?
So the original is called Miss Carbon. That's the original name.
And it was made in Spanish?
Yes.
Or now Netflix is pimping it out there with English subtitles?
Yes.
That's why it said it's so flat.
Right. So then you got the ADR like
this is even funnier.
Hey,
what?
Now that you call yourself a woman.
Now that you're a woman.
You got to do women's
work. You can't work with us manly men's.
Did they just go to a Starbucks and get all the baristas to read this damn script so they could have some English dub-overs?
Because, all right, so this is what hold on, let's see.
You better check yourself before you wreck yourself, punk. You're not coming in this is where sweaty men work.
So this is the original.
Oh, yeah, let's hear it in Spanish. Oh, la puta. All I know is when they insult you in the drug movies, they use that word. I think I'd rather watch it in Spanish. Is that our tranny friend?
Yes.
In Spanish? At least that sounds like a guy. What the hell is Netflix thinking, man? This is their highly promoted movie of the month right now. While Stranger Things is going on. You still got people trying to watch it week to week while it's being unveiled, and they shove this in there. Are we going to be misgendering the monsters on Stranger Things now? Is that where this is going? Yeah, I don't want them to take over Warner Brothers. I'm sorry. AJ, there goes all your comic book movies if they do it.
Now
they're done.
Now
done.
Transformers
is
going
to be all of it.
Now Transformers is going to be trans.
Transformers.
This is going to be trans.
Transformers.
Optimus Prime, you look different.
Thank you.
I finally feel like myself now.
Thanks for noticing.
me and Megatron decided that now, instead of us fighting each other, we're going to love each other.
He now goes by Megan and not Megatron.
Now that explains why Starscream's voice was so high pitched all
Yes,
the time.
yes. I've been on the meds to drop my voice so I don't sound so masculine.
Roll out.
Back in a minute. Allen and Company is the perfect little spot to go pop in and get something for somebody that you love this Christmas, just to make it their main present or just to pile on a little bit. Sometimes you just want to love on people at Christmas time. They've got great gift giving ideas in a number of ranges. Of course, a lot of times we're talking about the high end stuff like a wedding set, diamond upgrade, or things like that, or an engagement setting. That's obviously big ticket stuff that you want to spend some time planning and designing and working with them to get it just right. But otherwise, just charms and bracelets and necklaces and earrings and things like that. They've got them ready to go, beautifully done, one of a kind pieces. They'll put them in their fancy little silver box, and she'll be so impressed this holiday season. Y'all run by there and get to know them. Once you get to work with them, you'll have a personal jeweler in your life. Alan is the master jeweler there, and his whole family's there to help. They create and do all the work. By the way, if you take a piece in for upgrade or cleaning, or some things are broken, chains and prongs get loose, all these things that happen, everything you take in there stays in their vault. They handle it themselves right there in the store, and they don't have to ship it off. They're going to do the work and get it back to you. Alan always says he tries to do it within the week, within the work week. It's Allen and Company. Allen and Company in Vestavia, right there on the main drag on the big hill, Highway 31, that big road full of retail that goes through the middle of Vestavia. They're on the fire department, car wash, Chick-fil-A side of that road. You know what I mean? Y'all know what I mean. It's Allen and Company. Y'all go and see them. This is a remarkable story out of Huntsville tonight, a huge win economically. Our friends over at 1819 with a nice story about it tonight. Austin Shipley, the writer on that story. Eli Lilly has just announced a $6 billion, with a B, a $6 billion manufacturing facility in Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville just keeps winning. The rest of the state is playing catch up. Birmingham is losing residents, stagnating, trying its best, just dysfunctional. They're fighting over how to run a water system right now. And Huntsville just pulled this off. They're believing they're going to create 3,450 manufacturing and then construction jobs on site. And then long term, there'll be additional jobs created. This is a massive company, and this is part of that whole story with Eli Lilly in particular of repatriation of business back into the country. This is not just a win for Huntsville, and it's a massive win for Huntsville, but it's a win for the United States. Eli Lilly makes products that we need here in America. We need to be relying on here, and we're starting to see more and more of these announcements. Now, it's in the midst of the president tonight giving this huge speech here just any minute now in Pennsylvania on the economy. It takes time to get these things out of the ground. They've according to the story, this is the largest initial investment in Alabama's history, including our car plants and all the other major manufacturers. We now have a marquee brand coming into the state to make these pharmaceuticals and massively hiring people. Huntsville is doing everything right. They've got a lot going for them up there, a trained, smart, intelligent workforce, a lot of land to develop on. It's flat as a pancake up there, except for Montesano. It's a real wide open place. There's a lot of developable property inbound. I think they're probably going to have to expand their airport at some point. But Huntsville is on a roll with this announcement. So it's a big win for them. It's a big win for Alabama. It's a big win for the country to start having more and more of these exact type manufacturers decide they're going to build in the United States. They're going to manufacture here, hire Americans. We were told that was never going to happen again. The Democrats, who want a country full of government dependents and welfare people, and then the neocon Republicans, who just want to look out for their international globalists trading Wall Street buddies and think that we need to get slave Chinese labor to make everything. There's an in-between, and these are quality jobs. That's a big story. All right, we'll do the bottom of the hour break. We'll come back with more 545-9950. If y'all want to get on the show tonight, come on. We got 30 minutes to go. If Trump pops up with this live thing in Pennsylvania, we'll try to catch a little bit of that before we get completely out the door. Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Back in a minute. It's 5:32, Leland Live, talking to NM5. Time to talk to Thomas over at Stockton Mortgage as we get ready for a big day tomorrow, potentially another rate cut. Thomas, how are y'all feeling about it? What are you looking for? I'm sorry, I got to hit the button. I'm so used to AJ hitting the button. I got to do it myself. Got to do everything myself over here. I'm in the main studio. Thomas, what's going on, man? Man, no, actually, that one's on me. Usually it's him, but that was me that time. Sorry about that. Excellent. Save at Stockton.com. Thomas, we'll chat with you tomorrow after that rate announcement. Be interested in your thoughts on that. All right, and for those that are, just trying to say, what are they talking about? Well, the Fed meets tomorrow. It's part of their structured, scheduled meeting, and they will be after the meeting making their rate announcement. So it's not expected to be huge, but most people, and who knows, because they've gone beyond reasoning with Jerome Powell's leadership, and he can't leave soon enough. But they will have the meeting, and then I think the rate announcement is at 2:00 Eastern, so about 1:00 tomorrow afternoon. Before we get on the air, I will know how much, if at all, they decided to reduce the rates. So good stuff. Here at the end of the year, it'll be the last meeting of the year. Time to do a little segment I'm going to call Idiots in the News. There are lots of them. We'll start with Mondami. He keeps stacking his cabinet with the Village People. In fact, I think the Village People ought to sue. The dude added a criminal advisor today who is a violent criminal who did some armed robberies on cab drivers all over New York City. He decided to put him on as his criminal advisor. Maybe he's smarter than the rest of us. If you want to know where the crime is, talk to the criminals. I'm just saying, I remember my dad, he was, for a short time in his life, a mayor of a small town in East Alabama. And I remember him hiring this guy to work in the police department, had no police background. True story, with my hand up. Within about 3 months of this guy being on the job as a chief detective, he just hired him on as a chief detective. AJ, I think he solved like 60 something major crimes that had gone unsolved.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked my dad, I said, how's he so good at this? Dude's never been a cop. He goes, because he goes, if you want to catch some criminals, you got to hire a criminal. He was talking about his friend.
He knows
He's
everybody.
like, this guy knows everything that's happened. He knows the street stuff, and then all he had to do was gather the evidence at that point, get the police department to go out and act on what he already knew. He solved a lot of crime. So I don't know, maybe Mondami's onto something. And then we've got the situation in Minnesota. Let's talk about that for a minute. A couple of things tonight. We're finding out that the taxpayers in Maine may have to spend, right now, estimates are $250 million cleaning up the mess of all the stolen money. In other words, they've got to hire outside counsel, auditors, just to figure out where the money went. It's incumbent upon the government to clean up its own wreckage. So it's clean up on aisle 5. We've got federal investigators all over the place. Billions have gone out the door. Massive scandal on a historical proportions. And now the taxpayers are on the hook to pay more to figure out what happened. Probably some federal taxpayer money too with all these investigations. And then let's go to Maine. Yet another super blue state here in the United States, run by morons and calcitrant Democrats. It's what we're dealing with here. And guess what we're finding? Tonight, more reports of Somali fraud using the same techniques they used in Minnesota in the state of Maine. The state of Maine is tiny. Minnesota is a much larger state, but it's similar politics. Look the other way at these foreign invaders. Let them do what they want. Don't dare question anything or you're totally a racist. Hate yourself, Whitey. Don't look at what the Somalians are doing. And now they've got massive scandals breaking out all over Maine tonight of the same kind of activity with these folks coming from there, signed up for these welfare programs and started bleeding them dry and sending the money back home. I can't wait to see how this one unfolds. Maine's a state where the old nasty governor got into it with Trump early on in the Trump administration over some of the deportation stuff, in addition to the transgender stuff. This will be fun. Trump's about to go live tonight. I don't know if he's on this subject or what he's going to talk about this evening, but you know he'll be red hot as he starts back with the rallies to pump up the economy. And then there's our friend, Mrs. Jasmine Crocker. I keep forgetting her last name. Crockett, who announced yesterday to much fanfare she's running for the United States Senate. Well, she's decided she doesn't need a single Republican vote. She does not need any Trump support to win the state. It's just math. Trump won by 14 in the last election. Republicans have an advantage there. So she's not even going to try to appeal to Republicans. Now, a lot of folks are saying she's already killed her campaign by just saying that. You already turned people off. There was a lady out in California that did the same thing. She got called on a TV interview and got mad at the interviewer for asking her that very question. What are you going to do to appeal to Republican voters? I would suggest to you that this woman doesn't even appeal to moderate voters because of her bombastic character that she's developed for herself to brand herself. What I think this clip, and we're going to play a clip from CNN, what this tells me is she's just, this is self-promotion. She can't run for her old seat, keeps her in the attention box for a while. We were talking about this yesterday. She's lobbying for another job. I don't think she wants to be in the Senate. Let's take a listen to Crockett try to run for Senate on CNN of all places. All right. So you see her approach there. Somebody's talked her into these numbers. And if you just added up what she's talking about, one of the tricks in politics when people want to justify themselves, and I've seen it firsthand, is you talk in percentages. What's interesting is if you looked at the actual numbers, take 65% of the Hispanic vote. How many people is that? Because in the end, you win based on how many people actually vote. The biggest thing she's probably got going for her, though, in terms of the margins, are that Trump's not on the ballot, but he's claiming, and his team is claiming, he's going to run like he's on the ballot, thus the rally tonight. And if we get a chance to catch that in the next 15 minutes, we'll do it. Otherwise, we'll be talking about it tomorrow on the show. Mandu bringing you the show tonight. This is a wildly different way to work out and get strength training. And lately, I've been telling you, to me, I think it's the perfect companion to folks that are taking the weight loss shots. Listen, I'm going to be real with you. Friends won't tell you you're withering. Some of you look good, you look better, you feel good, your clothes fit, but you're withering because it's not just the fat you're losing muscle mass and in some cases bone density because it's too much too quick. The way to restore that is strength training. And one of the ways to do it efficiently, as opposed to hours in the gym, one of the reasons you do the fat loss shots is because it's quick, it's efficient, it's more effective because you get results sooner. Well, that's Mandu on the strength training side. It's electronic muscle stimulation. It hits your body with an electrical current while you do a range of stretches. You can only handle it for 15 minutes. Really, you can only go in there about every 2 days. That's all you need to do. And suddenly you're feeling it all over, and it balances out the loss that you're having. You're losing the things you want to lose, but you're losing some of your other tone and your appearance. So balance it out with Mandu. Go train over there for free. They'll let you try it for free. You got to be medically eligible, so they'll help you vet that. And once they clear you to be on the machine, they'll put you through with one of their professional trainers. You always get a personal trainer, get your own dressing room. It's not a gym at all. It's really like a studio or it's not a lab, but it's really, really cool technology that's been around for years, but now it's being applied for the whole body. They can even tone and shape certain portions of your body at Mandu. So sign up online and try it for free and see what you think. It's a little weird, but once you get used to it, you really find out how effective it can be. And the results come, it keeps you fired up and going forward. Don't wait to New Year's, man. That's just an amateur mistake. It'll be too crowded at New Year's. Go ahead and get signed up now and go try one for free. MANDUU. Put 2 U's on there. Look for the Birmingham location at mandu.com. And y'all go see Paul and the team and take advantage of what they have to offer in downtown Homewood, mandu.com. All right, 549 Leland Live, Tucking in 5. All American Metals bringing you the show tonight as well. That is a wonderful place to get your building project done because they are turnkey and fully integrated. They control the whole process from the design work. They'll go out and make you a design custom to what you need, help you think it through. I wish I'd had this kind of professional advice. I just kind of estimated what I needed when I built my building. I didn't know about them, and I wish I had gone over to Bessemer and had these meetings and got them to design my building. Probably would have paid less money. I know my headaches would have been less with what I wound up putting up. My building turned out great, and what I learned was the durability and the affordability of steel, the quickness with which you put it up, all that plays in when you're trying to get one of these projects done. So let them help from the design work to the production of the building. They build all the parts themselves right there in their factories all around the Bessemer Hueytown area, really all around Birmingham. The main structural steel, the framing, the primary, the secondary, everything that attaches that together, the sheet metal that they bend to your specifications, your patterns, your colors, all of it. And they'll package it all up for you, everything you're going to need down to the last bolt. Put it on the truck or trucks, depending on how big a building you're building, and get it out to your site. If you need help getting that thing vertical, they've got contractors that work with them on a regular basis. They're happy to connect you with to get this thing built. I think they do everything pretty much but the concrete. Then, of course, anything you want to do on the inside with electrical and all that other stuff. Y'all, this is a great company full of patriots, 2 generations deep, right here in Birmingham that can produce anything you need, even on the commercial side. And really, that's a bigger part of their business, the big giant commercial construction and all that comes with that. It's All American Metals, aa-metal.com, aa-metal.com. All right, so here we go. At just a few minutes left in the show. I'm looking at a wide shot. We've been staring at this for a while. Trump's got a big selection of folks waiting for him in somewhere up in Pennsylvania. He's on the ground and heading to the venue. Folks have been packed in there for a while. It's amazing to me. Let's just kind of dig into this for a minute. The energy that he still is able to get. Now, presidents draw crowds. There's no doubt about it. I've had the unique experience of bringing a presidential visit to Birmingham in the past and all the details that go along with that. And I just remember how hard we worked at that venue to do everything the security folks wanted. This was also a fundraiser. We brought Bush in 100 years ago when W was president. And everything that's involved. And if you think about the Trump team, the advanced teams, the PR folks, the folks on the ground, they do these all the time. It's one thing to pull these off in a campaign year, but for Trump to continue to do these as president when you're the sitting president, it's pretty amazing. And, of course, Pennsylvania, the state where the tragic shooting incident happened when they tried to kill him, and now he's coming back victorious to that state to talk about economic issues. And the other component to this, outside just the logistics of them constantly doing these mass rallies, by the way, this one, of course, this time of the year is indoors, but it's the shift for the presidency. I'm not going to say the Republicans because I still think that party is having trouble finding its butt with both hands right now. It's typical. And I believe once Trump's off the stage, as much as people like J.D. Vance, and I think he's well-spoken and a solid guy, I don't know how much of this is rubbing off on him. You got to remember he advanced into the United States Senate through the old system. And I hope he's as good on his feet if he becomes the nominee and the president as Trump is. By the way, there was a poll out this week where Vance was up by, I think I saw it was like 40-some-odd points over the nearest competitor when you do head-to-head matchups. Now, the primary won't be just head-to-head. It'll probably be a crowded field, and you'll have some yahoos like Marjorie Taylor Greene to get in there for attention for a few months and then get bumped out. I just think there's so much optimism for a potential Vance, maybe Rubio ticket at present ahead of all this stuff. If Trump pulls this economic stuff off, these guys are immediately off to the races as soon as the November elections are done. We're straight into a 2-year presidential cycle. And back to my original point, Trump's just got a fire and an energy with the people around him, and he's getting better at it as he goes. Many would argue, and I think a lot of you would agree, this term's going exceedingly better than his first term. He's got a more talented team around him, helping him push this agenda. And he's fighting even when his own party won't. So some of these agenda items he's got to take around the Senate structure and the stodgy old leadership there in Washington and take straight to the people again, like he's done for going on 10 years now. We're 10 years into Team Trump continuing to do these rallies. So tonight it's Pennsylvania, and the focus, of course, is the economic issues and what Trump is getting done. And so there are broad stories to talk about. There's statistics. Hopefully tomorrow we get this rate cut. But there are announcements, just like we got earlier tonight, out of Huntsville with Eli Lilly bringing a $6 billion setup to North Alabama, and, of course, hiring thousands of workers in what many would call pretty sophisticated high-tech jobs in their industry, not to mention the construction boom that will go along with that. So Trump is doing the right thing, and if he brings this to the campaign trail next time, he's going to bail out a lot of these Republican candidates despite themselves. He's warning that party that they've got, if they don't pass the functional things to clean up the way we elect people, the Democrats have a huge advantage of trying to steal some of these House races. We still don't have integrity when it comes to voter ID, some of the mail-in rulings. We're going to get some rulings from the Supreme Court that hopefully will be favorable on how the districts are drawn. And so incrementally, you're starting to see some improvement in the schemes and the setups that are being that are playing out in every single election. This is different. There's no president on the ballot. It's a lot of small races. There's not one big national race. So everything's done locally. Everything's done in a little bit more isolation than you do when you have a big national campaign. But Trump's team says he's going to be on the trail. The only problem with that, and this is me from the outset as we head into next year and just nonstop election stuff, is Trump can try his best to endorse candidates. He can get behind them as much as he can, but that doesn't always convey. His endorsement doesn't always convey, especially in the primary season where some of this gets sorted out. And then you get into this dynamic where you wind up with an establishment candidate. For example, let's take Texas. Say John Cornyn maintains his nomination for the Senate. That's going to be demoralizing to a bunch of the MAGA voters that are Trump loyalists. And I don't care how many rallies he does in Texas, where they clearly still have an advantage. It's still not going to have the effect that it would have if his name was at the top of that ballot to get people to the polls in the first place. It's about the low propensity Trump voters that may just fade. Then what? I don't know. I'm not too optimistic for the Republicans overall. If they don't find their balls, let me just be frank with you. If they don't find some leadership, they don't do some hard, difficult things and get into some brass knuckles stuff, particularly in the issues we covered earlier in the show with some of the Senate rules, they're flat going to get run over in the elections next year, and I can feel it coming. I'm not as optimistic as I was. Why is that? Because the Democrats don't care about these scandals. These things about the Somalis stealing from them, that's a problem for them amongst themselves. They do not care. That they'll still vote against any Republican candidate no matter what. My Pillow guy is running to clean up the mess that's left in Minnesota, and I don't think they care enough about their taxes and getting ripped off in that state as much as they hate anybody with an R next to their name. We're heading into a dynamic year for sure. All right, Trump's still not on the stage, so we're going to go ahead and bow out for the night. Y'all stay tuned for Breaking Bread. Burton Campers, last sponsor of the night. Man, I love talking about them because I get fired up. We're taking a trip right around Christmas, really just to get a little further south and to spend some family time. And it's nice because we've got our own little setup. It's all ready to go. We throw the animals in there. You can't take them on every flight and every hotel, despite that Frontier story where somebody smuggled a dog on the plane. You can take what you want when it's your camper. So do that. Y'all load up and go and let them get you fixed up at Burton Campers. You've got time to reach out to them and cut a deal and surprise the family. Maybe even have it parked in the driveway and put a gigantic bow on it and let them know that y'all are about to spend some time together as a family. You're going to turn those phones and those devices off and talk again like a family. You can do it with all the beautiful campers they sell at both locations in Calera and in Jasper near the hospital. BurtonCampers.com. BurtonCampers.com. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
All right. Stay tuned for Breaking Bread coming up next. Goodbye, AJ.